Chapter 554. Of course, Tang Zheng did not force his way into Marshall's room. He could only continue to make do with the sofa in the living room. In the dead of the night, he was completely awake. This was because tonight, he was going to consume the Dragon Yuan Dan to increase his power. The newly refined Dragon Yuan Dan did not have that strong of a medicinal effect, so he wanted to test if he could safely consume it. He calmed himself down and got rid of all distracting thoughts. He sat down cross-legged and swallowed a Dragon Yuan Dan. The moment the Dragon Yuan Dan slid down his throat, it exploded and turned into a ball of energy that rushed towards his 8 extraordinary meridians. Tang Zheng had already prepared a plan to deal with it. He multitasked and circulated the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll, the Chaotic Vajra spell, and the Dragon God method. The 3 types of cultivation techniques began to circulate in their own mysterious paths, and the genuine qi surged like a surging river. The energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan was quickly broken into pieces and transported to various parts of his body bit by bit. Thump! The energy flowed around the bones and seeped into them bit by bit. The snow-white bones started to glow with a metallic luster. The energy of a Dragon Yuan Dan was quickly refined, and his skin started to glow with a metallic luster. In the night, he looked like a bronze man. The Chaotic Vajra spell has improved again. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. Plus, during this period of time, he had been cultivating the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll and the Dragon God method, but he had neglected to cultivate the Chaotic Vajra spell. He never thought that the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan would be so beneficial to tempering his body. The Chaotic Vajra spell required continuous tempering of the body in order to allow the skin and bones to become abnormally strong. Back then, in the 10,000 huge mountains, he had undergone the tempering of the Witch Clan's secret medicine, and then underwent the tempering of the magma in the Sacred Grounds cave, which was why he had reached the Copper Skin realm. In the past few months, the Chaotic Vajra spell had not improved at all. At this moment, he discovered the miraculous use of the Dragon Yuan Dan and could not help but be overjoyed. This was the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan tempering the body. Originally, the Chaotic Vajra spell required external tempering in order to reach the Copper Skin realm. However, once one reached this realm, the next stage would be the Iron Bones. However, the bones could not be tempered from the outside, and could only be tempered from the inside of the body. This required enough energy to temper the bones from the inside of the body. In the past, the energy of the Dragon Yuan pill was too strong. Every time he took it, his body would explode and he would die. How could he have the mood to temper his bones? Having figured this out, Tang Zheng couldn't wait to consume another Dragon Yuan pill. Most of the energy just now was used to temper his bones, which meant that the energy contained in the new Dragon Yuan Dan was much smaller and was within his control. Whoosh! The energy of the Dragon Yuan pill continued to temper the bones. The metallic luster on the bones turned from light to dark and finally turned golden. When all the bones in his body had been tempered once, he felt that his body had become countless of times stronger. The Chaotic Vajra spell had also increased by a level, reaching the 2nd level, Iron Bones. Now, not only could ordinary external forces not harm his skin, they could not even do anything to his bones. His resistance to attacks had increased exponentially. He really wanted to find someone to stab him with a sword to test his body's resistance. Since there's a ready-made candidate, I'll use her to test my Chaotic Vajra spell. She also hates me to the core, so I'll give her this chance to vent her anger. He flipped over and stood up, knocking on Wu's door. Who? The armed police asked cautiously. Me, are you not asleep yet? What's the matter? Since you haven't slept yet, get up. I have something to talk to you about. Tang Zheng said. Not long later, Wu opened the door and walked out, looking suspiciously at the energetic Tang Zheng, especially since there was still a layer of metallic luster on his skin, which was obviously not there before. Wu looked at him in surprise and asked, What the hell are you doing now? I know you're very angry with me. I'm a magnanimous person, so I'll give you a chance to vent your anger. Tang Zheng said while beaming. Wu looked at him suspiciously, not knowing what he meant by that. Seeing that he did not understand, Tang Zheng explained, Let's find a place to spar. I won't retaliate and will let you attack me. Wu Xiuqi raised her eyebrows. She felt that his request, which was almost masochistic, was inconceivable, but she immediately felt relieved. Since you took the initiative to be cheap, then don't blame me. Alright, where are we going? Let's go downstairs. Tang Zheng walked to the window and jumped down from the 10-story building. He was like a big bird, hiding in the night and not being discovered by anyone. After he landed more than 10 meters, the tip of his foot suddenly tapped on the wall, and his falling speed increased by a bit. Seeing that he was about to land on the ground, the tip of his foot tapped on the windowsill of a house, removing most of the force. He landed steadily, lifting heavy as if it was light, and did not make the slightest sound. Wu followed closely behind like a shadow and landed on the ground. However, she did not lift heavy as if it was light, and made quite a bit of noise when she landed. Tang Zheng pointed to a small forest next to the district and flew over. Only an afterimage could be seen flashing across the night sky. He flipped over the wall of the district and landed in the small forest. Wu's face was strange because she knew that she was unable to reach Tang Zheng's level. She felt helpless and unreconciled with his speed of improvement. Back then, her cultivation was much higher than his. How could she be inferior to him now? She could not help but feel a sense of powerlessness and frustration in her heart. But in an instant, her eyes became firm and she chased after him. This time, he had to give Tang Zheng a good look and vent his anger for his master and mistress. The night was like water, and the small forest was pitch black. Only the occasional bit of moonlight that penetrated through the clouds allowed people to clearly distinguish their surroundings. The two of them had outstanding eyesight and were not affected by the darkness. They stood facing each other. "Use this blade to attack me. I won't fight back," Tang Zheng said as he handed Wu a large blade. Wu weighed the large blade in his hand. It was indeed a sharp blade that shone with a cold light. She looked at him in bewilderment and asked again, "You really want me to attack you? If you pass this village, you won't have this shop anymore. If you want to attack me in the future, it won't be easy." Tang Zheng provoked. "Since you're asking for trouble, then I'll help you." Wu snorted, and with a whoosh, the broadsword slashed towards Tang Zheng's chest. Bang! Tang Zheng was forced back by the strong force. A crack appeared on his jacket, and his slightly golden skin was revealed. However, there was no blood, nor was there a wound. Marshall looked at this scene in shock. She had only used 30% of her strength in this slash, but she did not expect Tang Zheng to not resist at all. After eating the slash, he was completely unharmed. Wu also knew that there were some people in the martial arts world who practiced martial arts and boasted that they had copper skin and iron bones. However, she knew that many people were just randomly bragging. If they really slashed with a large blade, they would still have to dodge. Furthermore, if they were not killed, they would still lose half their lives. However, Tang Zheng was obviously different from those fake masters. He really used his body to resist the blade. "No matter what kind of martial arts you cultivate, eat my second blade. Let's see if you will still be unscathed." Wu rushed forward a few steps and chopped down with the broadsword. The broadsword light lit up with a demonic red light in the darkness. Tang Zheng's pupils constricted as he recognized that this was the mental cultivation method of the roaring flame blade. Normally, her hands would be used as a blade, but at this moment, her inner strength was completely attached to the blade. It was as if the blade was burning, and it was much more powerful than the broadsword itself. Tang Zheng did not retreat. He bent his knee backwards and supported his body. Seeing the burning broadsword approaching, he puffed out his chest. Bang! Tang Zheng slid backwards, creating a gully on the ground. In the end, he broke a tree and fell to the ground with a loud bang. Wu was startled. This time, she had used 90% of her strength. The power of this blade was enough to split open stones. Only then did she suddenly remember that she had used such a ruthless blade out of anger. Would Tang Zheng be split in half by him? If that was really the case, then she would not be able to answer to her master and mistress. She threw away the broadsword and hurriedly rushed over, crying out in shock, "Tang Zheng, how are you?" Tang Zheng laid flat on the ground. The taste of this blade was not good at all. A bright red mark appeared on his chest. His clothes had been completely torn apart by the broadsword, revealing his hard chest. Fortunately, there was no blood, and it did not cut through his skin. Wu looked at this scene with a dumbstruck expression and said, "I have such a powerful blade, yet you are still safe and sound?" She had always been confident in her own strength, but when she saw Tang Zheng's heaven-defying ability to resist attacks, she could not help but feel a deep sense of powerlessness. Tang Zheng did not look as good as he looked on the surface. Although he had copper skin and iron bones, his body still felt pain. After withstanding such a powerful attack, the muscles on his chest were almost torn apart, and the pain of his bones falling apart almost caused him to collapse. At this moment, the innate qi crazily surged in his meridians, trying to calm the heart-wrenching pain. The energy of the dragon Yuan Dan that had not been completely refined also became restless, fusing with the surging innate qi, turning into a wild horse that recklessly galloped in his meridians. Gradually, his body became incomparably hot, like a large furnace. His skin, which was originally suffused with a metallic luster, turned fiery red, and his entire body seemed to be on fire. Damn, this is bad. I still underestimated the energy of the dragon Yuan Dan. I originally thought that there would be no problems after tempering my bones, but I didn't expect that the remaining energy would still be so powerful. Taking advantage of my weakness, it actually detonated my pure yang energy. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. He had underestimated his opponent too much, especially during this period of time when the pure yang energy was extremely quiet, causing him to overlook this fatal flaw. This time, the pure yang energy had exploded. What should he do? This was not a joke. He already felt that his body was so hot that he could not stand it anymore. The dew on the grass around him was evaporated by his heat. "Hey, what's wrong with you? You were the one who told me to attack you, so you can't blame me," Marshall said. He supported himself with both hands on the ground and stood up with great difficulty. He clenched his teeth and walked into the small district without saying a word. However, the wall that he could walk on, as if it was flat ground, had now become an insurmountable mountain that he could not cross. "If you want to go home, I'll take you back." Marshall supported him in panic, and with a tap of her toes, she was about to jump into the small district. However, Tang Zheng smelled a fragrance at the tip of his nose, and an unending stream of pure yin energy was transmitted from between the two's skin. It was like a drug addict who had encountered drugs, and his wolf was instantly submerged. His entire body became incomparably hot, and his hands immediately hugged her slender waist. It was unknown where he got the strength from, but he grabbed Marshall's clothes and tore them apart. With a ripping sound, Marshall's chest was torn open, and her snow-white skin was exposed. Immediately, Tang Zheng's eyes turned red, and like a wild beast, he pounced forward. Marshall only had time to scream before she was pushed to the ground. "Tang Zheng, you hooligan, you're courting death." Marshall's palm slapped his shoulder, but he was completely unaware of it. He only wanted to rub each other into the other's body. Moreover, his entire body was burning hot, like a branding iron. Chapter 555. Marshall finally understood Tang Zheng's situation and stopped trying to push him away. She remembered her master's instructions. Staying by Tang Zheng's side was to prevent the eruption of pure yang energy. Now, wasn't it time for her to use her skills? Recalling the charming scene in the 10,000 huge mountains, her heart skipped a beat as a hot and dry feeling assaulted her heart. Puff! With the sound of silk tearing, Marshall's clothes were torn open again. The white scenery immediately entered Tang Zheng's eyes, causing his blood to boil. He increased the strength in his hands and firmly fixed Marshall in place. Marshall bit her lips, hesitated for a moment, and finally gave up resisting. The increasingly strong feeling in her heart caused her entire body to go limp. With a strong push from Tang Zheng, she was completely lying on the ground, her clothes tattered, and the scenery was half covered and half exposed. However, she did not feel cold because Tang Zheng was like a big furnace, causing the surrounding air to heat up. Moreover, no one came to this small forest in the middle of the cold night. She opened her eyes and allowed him to do whatever he wanted. Last time, Tang Zheng fell into a coma, so she took the initiative. This time, Tang Zheng fell into madness but did not faint, giving her a completely different feeling. That strong, beast-like masculine aura caused her breathing to involuntarily quicken. Her cheeks flushed red like a ripe apple. Not long after, the two naked figures rolled on the ground, hugging each other tightly, as if they wanted to completely merge into each other's bodies. Marshall could not help but gently gasp for breath, adding a different kind of scenery to the small forest. The battle continued for a long time. Tang Zheng's bravery was beyond Marshall's imagination. When she could not take it anymore and begged for mercy, Tang Zheng did not seem to hear it. However, she felt his body temperature dropping and the fiery red color on his skin dimming bit by bit. Marshall clenched his teeth and stared at him bitterly, thinking, "If I didn't want to save you, why would I be bullied like this? You hooligan, bastard." Suddenly, everything returned to normal. Marshall laid on the ground, breathing out like orchids. Her entire body was sore and weak, without a trace of strength. Her skin had a delicate and beautiful crimson color. Tang Zheng gasped for breath as he lay on her chest, dripping with sweat. His skin had already returned to normal, and his fiery red eyes gradually regained their calm. He slowly lowered his head and saw the beauty beneath him. Suddenly, it was as if a basin of cold water had been poured over him. He shivered. He had actually done that to her, and it was by force. Holy **T, the pure yang energy is erupting. Why am I such a beast? He wanted to cry but had no tears. This damned pure yang energy had erupted without any warning. He had done this completely out of instinct. Although he had silently cursed during the day that he wanted to break into Marshall's room and force himself on her. Now that it had really happened, she was at a loss for what to do. With Marshall's temper, wouldn't he be dead for sure? She would castrate him first, then peel off his skin and pull out his tendons. He hurriedly crawled up from her body and subconsciously placed his hands on her chest. Immediately, two breathtaking softness fell into his palms, causing his heart to tremble. Wu Jiao let out a cry as her eyes widened. Tang Zheng hurriedly explained, "I'm sorry, this was not intentional. I had no intention of doing it just now. It was completely out of instinct to save myself." Seeing him lose his head out of fear, Marshall also calmed down. She once again returned to her ice-cold appearance and said, "You yourself said it was instinct. It can be seen how bad your nature is." Tang Zheng did not care about these words and said, "I promise. There will never be a next time. As the saying goes, things do not happen more than 3 times. He had already done it with her twice. If there really was a third time, he really did not dare to imagine what it would be like. Marshall did not believe his promise. However, seeing him lose his composure, a thought appeared in her mind. It seems that he is quite cute like this. But she immediately threw this absurd thought out of her mind. She only had sex with him because of Master's orders. There is absolutely no other reason. Just now, my situation was very dangerous. After all, you saved me. You have saved my life. If you have any requests, I will definitely satisfy them." Since things had already come to this, he could only do his best to make up for it. Tang Zheng was not the kind of person who would pull up his pants and not admit it. That kind of man was too irresponsible and was no different from an animal. Marshall had an idea and asked, "You really want me to make a request?" Tang Zheng nodded his head heavily. "Of course." "All right. Forgive Master and Mistress." Marshall said. "Forgive them?" Tang Zheng was startled. He did not expect her to make such a request. You don't agree, right? I think you are just a person who goes back on his words. Leave my body and scram." Marshall angrily shouted. Tang Zheng was hesitant. Seeing her angry appearance, he advised, "Make another request. This is my request. Whether you agree or not is up to you." Wu snappily said as she grabbed her clothes and put them on. Unfortunately, her clothes had already been torn apart, revealing her body. It was faintly discernible, which was even more enticing than not wearing any clothes. She took large strides towards the small district. She wanted to jump over the wall, but when her toes touched the ground, her legs went limp and she staggered towards the wall. Tang Zhang cried out in alarm. He immediately rushed over and hugged her. With a tap of his foot, the two of them flew over the wall and landed firmly on the ground. Tang Zhang tightly hugged her slender waist. His palm felt a soul-stirring softness. Marshall's face flushed red. She pushed him away and scolded, "I don't want you to be hypocritical. In any case, you have a heart of stone. You are not even willing to forgive your own parents. Although they are my biological parents, they did not fulfill any of their parental responsibilities. How can I not be angry?" Tang Zhang retorted, "That's because you didn't have the chance before. Since you have the chance now, why can't you give them a chance and let them fulfill some of their responsibilities? Is there a need for you to beat them to death like this?" Marshall's aura was not weak as he argued with reason. Tang Zhang was silent. He indeed did not give them a chance to fulfill their responsibilities. Could it be that he was too cruel? "Master was worried about your safety and specially sent me to stay by your side to protect you. Isn't this concern? How can you turn a blind eye to it?" Marshall chattered on. "If it wasn't for me just now, would you still be standing here alive?" Tang Zhang glanced at her and admitted that she was right. If it wasn't for her, he would have been in danger. So, in reality, it was Wu Junshan who saved his life. Seeing that Tang Zhang's will was wavering, Marshall struck while the iron was hot and said, "As long as you promise to give them a chance, I will forgive you this time." Tang Zhang's heart moved. The other party had already given in. If he continued to persist, wouldn't it be too heartless and cold? "All right, I'll promise you. I'll give them a chance. But if you want me to forgive them immediately, that's impossible." Tang Zhang finally compromised. Marshall was overjoyed. Although this result was not perfect, at least there was progress. He nodded and said, "At least you have some responsibility. Let's go home. If the security patrol sees us, we'll lose a lot." Tang Zhang pointed at his exposed skin and reminded, "How can I leave from the main entrance like this? Moreover, there are surveillance cameras at the bottom of the building." Marshall fiercely glared at him and asked. The corner of Tang Zhang's mouth curled up and said, "It's nothing, watch me." After saying that, he picked her up by the waist, and with a tap of his foot on the ground, he leaped up a few meters into the air, and then lightly tapped on the wall a few times, and the two of them soared up. Fortunately, it was the middle of the night, otherwise this scene would definitely attract many people to stop and watch. Wu did not scream. She was just a little surprised that he would use such a method to glare at him, but he turned a blind eye to it. In midair, she subconsciously hugged his body, and in a trance, she felt as if they were a pair of intimate lovers. She subconsciously shook her head and hurriedly got rid of this absurd thought. She adjusted her rapid breathing and quietly felt this different feeling. Since she was young, although she had come into contact with a lot of people of the opposite sex, they were all disciples of the martial sect. They were all in awe of her, the sect master's disciple, and did not dare to offend her like this. Ever since she had that intimate relationship with Tang Zhang in the 10,000 huge mountains, her heart began to change. Originally, the feeling between men and women was like that, but this time, the feeling was completely different, as if she had peeked into another wonderful world. At this moment, lying in Tang Zhang's arms, a strong sense of security filled her heart. She knew that this arm was a strong safe harbor, and any wind or rain would be blocked outside. Suddenly, a complicated thought arose in her heart. She could not help but be a little envious of Fang Shishir, because she would often lean on this arm and ignore all the wind and rain outside. Bang! Tang Zhang's feet lightly landed on the ground. Wu Ruming woke up and immediately suppressed the complicated thoughts in his heart. He jumped down from her arms and rushed into the bedroom as if he was flying. Seeing her fleeing in panic, Tang Zhang smiled bitterly and rubbed his nose. Was he that scary? It was as if she couldn't wait to escape from the claws of a devil. He shook his head, not bothering with these messy thoughts. He calmed his mind and carefully investigated the situation in his body. After that dangerous scene just now, other than being intimate with her, his gains were not small either. Other than the breakthrough of the chaotic Vajra spell, his cultivation had also reached the 7th stage of the Anidia realm after the final moment of the harmony of yin and yang. Looking at the surging innate qi in his body, Tang Zheng was overjoyed. The dragon Yuan Dan was indeed useful, and he had taken too much of a risk previously. It seemed that he could not take 2 pills at once in the future. 1 pill at a time was the most suitable. Not only could it increase his innate qi, it could also temper his body, and it could also prevent the eruption of the pure yang energy. Chapter 556. Train Station. During the Spring Festival, there was a huge flow of people. On the 3rd day of the new year, there were already migrant workers traveling far away by car. Tang Zheng and Marshall stood at the exit of the station, looking at the bustling passengers walking out. Marshall's tall and slender figure made the others pale in comparison, especially the few girls, who avoided her from afar, because standing near her was too stressful. Marshall was very tall, with a pair of straight and slender legs. Her figure was comparable to that of a professional model, and her beautiful face, all of which were quite lethal weapons. In any case, many people were secretly looking at her. Marshall's eyes looked at his nose looked at his heart, and was indifferent to all of this. Just like Tang Zheng, he also looked at the exit, curious as to who exactly he was waiting for. Suddenly, the crowd surged. The train arrived at the station and the passengers exited. Tang Zheng's eyes widened as his gaze wandered through the crowd. Suddenly, his pupils constricted as he locked onto a group of people and quickly walked forward to welcome them. Wu followed closely behind and looked in his direction. Immediately, she saw her target, and it was someone she knew, Yi Yuan. Beside Yi Yuan were 20 to 30 powerful clansmen, and the nearby tourists all avoided them. It was obvious that this group of natural warriors was emitting an aura that no one could enter. An aura. Tang Zheng and the rest also saw Tang Zheng. They quickly walked forward with great momentum, and then stood in front of Tang Zheng at the same time, all of them standing straight like javelins, as if they wanted to pierce through the heavens. Everyone looked sideways, guessing who this group of people were. The group of people bowed towards Tang Zheng at the same time, and respectfully called out, "Greetings, Lord Envoy." What? Lord Envoy? Many people rubbed their ears, thinking that they had heard wrongly. Could it be that they were filming a movie? But there were no cameras around. Tang Zheng did not want to be surrounded by onlookers, so he immediately waved his hand and said, "No need to be so polite. Let's get on the carriage and go back first." "Yes, sir." Everyone accepted the order in unison. Tang Zheng was helpless. His prestige in the shaman tribe had already been deeply rooted in his bones, and now, he was probably even more prestigious than the elders of the shaman tribe. It would not be easy to make them not follow the rules and salute him. However, what made him very gratified was that the strength of this group of people had obviously improved a lot. Back then, they were restricted by a mysterious restriction in the 100,000 mountains and could not practice cultivation methods. But now, they were all cultivators, and the weakest was at the foundation establishment stage, which was equivalent to an acquired warrior. The strength of these 30 Hotian warriors could not be underestimated. Back then, Tang Zheng had taken a long time to reach the foundation establishment stage, but these witch warriors were able to reach this stage so quickly, it was enough to show the innate talent of the witch tribe. In fact, there was a reason for this. Although the shamans were unable to cultivate in the past, they lived in the mountains all year round and had been tempered by the various secret medicines of the elders. Their strength was not weak, and their bodies had long stored a huge amount of treasures. Amongst them, Yi Yuan's cultivation speed was the most terrifying. Right now, he had already reached the 9th stage of the foundation establishment stage, and was only a step away from the Anidia realm. Wu Yi looked at them suspiciously, not knowing why Tang Zheng had summoned all these people over with such great momentum. However, she was used to watching and listening less, so she just watched silently. The few of them boarded a bus and an off-road vehicle that they had prepared beforehand. Tang Zheng personally drove the off-road vehicle, causing Yi Yuan to be overwhelmed by the favor and almost not dare to sit on it. "Ah, Yuan, it's been hard on you all the way," Tang Zheng said. Yi Yuan hurriedly said, "Lord Envoy, It's not hard for us. Everyone is too happy to see you again. The day before yesterday, when we received your notice, we immediately set off and crossed the border. Because we did not have any identity and the inspection for taking a plane was too strict, taking a train was much easier, we snuck into the train station and took the train to Chongheng City. I wonder if this delayed Sir Envoy's plans? Tang Zheng laughed and said, Don't delay. My matters are not that urgent. I did not expect you all to come so quickly. The elder was afraid that he would delay Lord Envoy's grand plan, so he urged us not to delay in the slightest. Is the elder all right? Yi Yuan's face revealed a look of joy and said, Elder is very good, now that he has entered the fasting period, according to what Senior Tian Chanzi said. The potential that the elder has accumulated for most of his life has not completely erupted, so his cultivation in the future can only be higher. The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth raised and said, Oh, then I really have to congratulate elder. Oh right, how is Tian Chanzi's cultivation? On the phone, he kept hemming and hawing, unwilling to talk about it in detail. Yi Yuan shook his head regretfully. Senior Tian Chanzi's cultivation is unfathomable. He did not tell us, so we have no way of knowing. Tang Zheng said that this old fellow was still playing a game of secrecy with him. The next time he saw him, he had to make things clear. This fellow used to be a cultivator of the Yuanying realm. He did not know when he would be able to completely recover his cultivation, and at that time, his side would be even stronger. However, although Tang Zheng could contact Tian Chanzi, if there was nothing important, he would definitely not contact him. This was because he was afraid that if he contacted him too frequently, he would expose the other party's exact location. Now that technology was so advanced, if the mysterious power in his hands was completely investigated, it would not be good for him. However, this time, he had allowed the witch clan to return to their country due to many considerations. Firstly, he needed people who were strong enough and trustworthy to stay by his side to deal with all kinds of possible dangers. Secondly, his identity as a cultivator had already been exposed, and the existence of the witch clan was no longer a secret. Since everyone knew about it, why not openly pull it out and let everyone see the strength of the witch clan and him? This way, he would be able to shock the younger generation. This was his idea of benefiting from being big and strong. His strength was not only reflected in his business empire, but also in his martial strength. Not only was it a person, but also the powerful martial strength in his hands. This way, in the future, if a small fry like the Dragon Group wanted to deal with him, they would have to weigh their own weight. Thirdly, the sorcerer tribe lived in the mountains and forests all year round, isolated from the rest of the world. Although they had been training in the mortal world during this period of time, how could a small border country be compared to a big country like Huaxia? In their own country, they would receive more challenges. This way, they could quickly strengthen their foundation and increase their strength. Aren't you afraid of becoming the target of public criticism when you let so many cultivators appear at the same time? Wu finally could not help but ask. The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth curled up, and he laughed. In any case, I am already in high demand. Who knows how many pairs of eyes are staring at me? Since that's the case, then let's play a big game and let them see more cultivators. Moreover, the martial sect is in chaos, so they should not have the time to care about the cultivators. The internal strife in the martial sect had undoubtedly given him a chance for the cultivators to take a breather. Wu shook his head. You are too risky, you forgot what Mistress warned you. They suspect that there is another mysterious power behind the martial sect and Li Palace. This power has never appeared. I'm afraid they don't have much of a good impression of cultivators. Tang Zheng's heart trembled. Then he shook his head. If we blindly fear wolves and tigers, then what great things can we do? Sometimes we can't have too many misgivings, we have to take advantage of the momentum and see how far we can go. Humph, risky. Wu curled his lips and commented, obviously not agreeing with Tang Zheng's point of view. Hearing that, Yi Yuan firmly stood on Tang Zheng's side and said sonorously, We witch clan warriors will follow Lord Envoy's lead. We believe in Lord Envoy's decision. Stubborn, Marshall said disapprovingly. Thinking about that mysterious and unfathomable power, Tang Zheng frowned and asked, Aren't there 3 big mysterious organizations in this world? Martial Sect, Lee Palace, and Azure Dragon Palace. Why have I never heard you mention the Azure Dragon Palace? Wu's expression changed slightly as he said in a deep voice. The Azure Dragon Palace is the most mysterious of the three great organizations. I heard from Master that even he did not know much about the secrets of the Azure Dragon Palace, and only heard from word of mouth that there was such an organization in this world that was as famous as the Martial Sect and the Lee Palace. Tang Zhang could not help but open his eyes wide. There was actually such an inconceivable thing in this world. Even Wu Junshan did not know about the Azure Dragon Palace that was as famous as the Martial Sect. Why did it sound like a lie? But looking at Wu's expression, it was obvious that he was not lying. Could it be that the Azure Dragon Palace was really so mystical that it could escape the eyes of the Martial Sect? Could it be that this Azure Dragon Palace disappeared a long time ago? Tang Zheng let his imagination run wild. Impossible. Although no one from the Azure Dragon Palace has appeared before, this organization definitely exists. It's just that it's too mysterious. Maybe it's hidden in the city, or maybe it's right beside you and me. Tang Zheng laughed out loud. How was this possible? A mysterious organization existing in the streets was like a fantasy. The hardest thing to keep in this world was a secret. How could such a large organization hide? This was definitely a great question. Now that there is the Azure Dragon Palace, the Martial Sect, and the mysterious power behind the Lee Palace, this is truly a competition for supremacy. More and more people are coming on stage. Tang Zheng could not help but laugh as he teased. The powers are intricate and complicated. Then, as the target of everyone's eyes, you are in more danger. You should be careful, but you did the opposite and made such a big fuss. I really don't understand you, Wu said doubtfully. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, I was too careful in the past. As the saying goes, a good horse is ridden by people, and a good person is bullied by people. From the matter of the Dragon Group, I finally understood that in order to survive in this world, only by becoming strong enough and having the strength to make others fear me will I try my best to avoid trouble. I don't cause trouble, but I'm even more afraid of trouble. Tang Zheng's words were resolute and decisive, sonorous and powerful, like a heavy hammer striking Marshall's heart. In a trance, she seemed to have seen her master. In the past, when her master was in the Martial Sect, he was also this powerful. This kind of aura was fascinating. Hey, if you look at me like that, I'll be embarrassed. Tang Zheng glanced at her and teased mischievously. Marshall coldly snorted and said with a false heart, I want to see how you deal with the trouble you cause in the future. Tang Zheng shrugged his shoulders indifferently. Chapter 557. Tang Zheng's face darkened as he stared at the entrance of the ordinary balance courtyard. A large group of people were blocking the entrance with sticks and machetes in their hands. They were constantly pounding on the door, trying to rush in. But the door was tightly shut, making it impossible for them to succeed. Ring, ring, ring. Tang Zheng's phone rang. Young Master Tang. There's a large group of people causing trouble at the ordinary balance courtyard. Lin Hu's anxious voice sounded. I saw them. I'm right outside the door. Do you know who they are? Tang Zheng asked calmly. I saw a few familiar faces in the crowd. I've seen them before in the provincial capital, Jade Sand. They're people from the Jade Sand Path. Lin Hu analyzed. People from the Jade Sand Path? Tang Zheng frowned. He had always been in the ordinary balance courtyard and hadn't gone to Jade Sand to cause trouble. Why would people from the Jade Sand Path block his door? Don't worry. With me here, these people won't be able to cause any big waves. Tang Zheng said. Yes. Then we'll open the door immediately and meet you. In fact, the guards of the ordinary balance courtyard had been cleared out in the past few days. The security of the ordinary balance courtyard was in a state of emptiness. Fortunately, no one dared to cause trouble in the ordinary balance courtyard, so it was safe and sound. But he didn't think that the people from the Jade Sand Path would rashly come. Lin Hu originally wanted to talk to them, but these people didn't have good intentions. These people didn't want to talk to him at all. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, in order to prevent the guests and staff of the ordinary balance courtyard from being hurt, he made a prompt decision to close the door. Hearing that young Master Tang was outside the door, Lin Hu finally let out a sigh of relief and hurriedly comforted the guests. Tang Zheng had already gotten out of the car. The 30 witch warriors also got out of the car one after another. They curiously looked at the crowd surrounding the door and making a big fuss. Although these people were very loud, they were only shouting loudly. They kept slamming and pushing the door, trying to break in. However, the door was very sturdy, and they couldn't break it in a short time. Tang Zheng walked toward the door step by step. Suddenly, his phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Lin Hu, but Fire Phoenix. Today, Fire Phoenix wasn't at the ordinary balance courtyard. Instead, she was inspecting the situation at several clubs. Unexpectedly, she also encountered troublemakers. Furthermore, all of their properties were attacked by unknown enemies. Without a doubt, these thugs were in cahoots with this group of people. It was truly a big deal. In the ordinary balance domain, it was impossible to find so many people who dared to oppose Tang Zheng. Only the Jade Sands domain dared to be so unbridled. Crossing the river, I'll turn you into a drowned bug later, Tang Zheng said with a gloomy face. The corner of Marshall's mouth hooked up. Looking at the thugs who didn't know that a great disaster was about to befall them, they couldn't help but feel sad for them. These people didn't even know the background of their opponents, yet they still dared to rashly charge forward. They were simply born to be cannon fodder. Marshall walked to the periphery of the crowd and patted the shoulder of a person who was shouting non-stop, saying, "Make way!" That person turned his head and glared at Tang Zheng, saying, "Brat, scram. Do you believe that I won't beat you up?" Tang Zheng's thick eyebrows twitched as he sent out a slap. Pow! That person was like a spinning top, continuously spinning on the spot before finally crashing to the ground. The others immediately noticed the clues and turned their heads at the same time. They angrily stared at Tang Zheng and roared, "Brat, where are you from? You dare to hit our people, are you looking for trouble?" Tang Zheng looked at the other party and asked coldly, "Who sent you here? F***CK, you still dare to question me? I'll cut you to death." The other party punched. Tang Zheng did not move at all. A big hand had already blocked in front of him, holding onto the fist, only to see the fist emitting a creaking sound, and then shrinking bit by bit at a speed visible to the naked eye. The other party immediately let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. Yi Yuan turned a deaf ear to the scream and looked at Tang Zheng inquiringly. Tang Zheng said indifferently, "Since you don't want to speak, then there's no need to." Yi Yuan understood and waved to his clansmen. The group of people were like fierce tigers descending the mountain as they rushed over. Before the other party could even say a few words, he saw a group of people rushing in front of him. Without saying a word, they directly smashed their hammer-like fists onto the other party's body. This was a one-sided slaughter. Tang Zheng was not interested in watching at all. He walked to the door and with a creak, the door opened. Lin, who stood behind the door, and behind him was a group of curious guests. When they saw the martial arts scene outside, they all widened their eyes. Especially since this was an overwhelming battle, there was no suspense at all. Those people were like wheat, being harvested by the Witch Clan warriors at lightning speed. The screams were earth-shattering, and in contrast, none of the Witch Clan warriors made a single sound. They only had calm faces, as if their opponents were really wheat, and the screams did not cause any ripples in their hearts. These guests could not help but tremble as a strong killing intent assaulted their faces. Even the slowest person could feel a different kind of iron-blooded valiance from these people. What kind of team was this? How could they be so strong? In the past, Ordinary Balance had never heard of such a strong team. Everyone guessed. But without a doubt, one thing was certain, and that was that these were Tang Zheng's men. No wonder he had such great achievements at such a young age. Just these iron blood warriors alone were enough for him to walk sideways in the Ordinary Balance. The battle ended very quickly. Then, the Witch Clan warriors ignored the enemy who had completely lost their fighting strength and could only scream in pain on the ground. They stood behind Tang Zheng without saying a word, like a silent shadow, emitting a soul-stirring aura. "Lord Envoy, How should we deal with them? Yi Yuan asked in a low voice. Drag them away and throw them away. Don't block the door and affect business. Tang Zheng said without batting an eyelid. Yes. Yi Yuan accepted the order and gestured to the Witch Clan warriors. The Witch Clan warriors started to move, each of them dragging a few enemies as if they were dragging a dead dog, dragging them far away. Then, with a wave of their hands, as if they were throwing a shot put, these people flew towards the bushes in the distance. The guests were flabbergasted. Not only was the fighting strength of this group of big men astonishing, their strength was also too great. They could see with their own eyes that many of them were holding onto 2 legs in one hand and directly throwing 2 people flying. 2 people, 300 kilograms of weight, to them seemed to be insignificant. This scene was too impactful. They had no choice but to reevaluate Tang Zheng. This person was even more powerful than they had imagined. Many people had already secretly made up their minds that they would definitely not be enemies with him in the future. If they could cooperate with him, there would definitely be great benefits. At this point, the influence of the Dragon Group's harsh attack on Tang Zheng's industry gradually disappeared. I'm sorry to disturb everyone's mood. Tang Zheng smiled at the crowd and said. Everyone immediately waved their hands and laughed. Young Master Tang is too serious. Today we have a feast for our eyes. It should be our fortune to be able to enjoy such a good show. The others nodded in agreement. If they had not seen this scene with their own eyes, many people would not have been able to truly experience Tang Zheng's strength. If they were to do something stupid in the future, then the gains would not make up for the losses. Tang Zheng smiled and nodded, his gaze turning to a sports car by the roadside in the distance. Sports cars were not rare in the ordinary Balance Courtyard, but this sports car had been parked by the side of the road ever since Tang Zheng got off the car, forming a stark contrast with the other cars parked in the parking lot. Although the glass of the sports car was blocked, Tang Zheng could still vaguely see that there was someone in the sports car. Thus, he strode towards the sports car. Virum. The roar of the engine suddenly sounded as the sports car started. It roared like a wild beast and suddenly turned around, fleeing the way it came. The guests were disappointed, thinking that the one sitting in the sports car must be the leader. If it ran away just like that, then they would not know who the mastermind behind the scenes was. But how could Tang Zheng let the other party run away so easily? He coldly snorted and directly walked to a row of iron fences. He casually pulled out an iron rod from the soil. Under the suspicious gazes of the crowd, Tang Zheng roared, "Stop for me!" Whoosh! The iron rod left his hand like a sharp arrow and went straight to the sports car. Wow! The crowd immediately exclaimed. This scene was really beyond everyone's expectations. Tang Zheng actually used an iron rod to block an arrow. How could it catch up with the sports car that was like an arrow leaving the bow? While everyone was still doubting, the iron rod swept across the sky and caught up with the sports car. Bang! The high-speed sports car was pierced through by the iron rod, and the iron rod pierced deeply into the sports car. Then, with a creak, the sports car spun on the spot, and finally, with a boom, it crashed into a big tree on the side of the road and stopped. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time as they looked at Tang Zheng in shock. This attack was too powerful. How much strength did it require? Everyone's gazes shifted towards Tang Zheng's arm. This pair of arms that were no different from a normal person's actually contained such a powerful explosive force. It was truly terrifying. A heart-wrenching and lung-splitting scream came out from the sports car, and it was even screaming for help. Capture him, Tang Zheng said indifferently. Yi Yuan's feet slipped, and like a gust of wind, he arrived in front of the sports car in the blink of an eye. He grabbed onto the deformed door and fiercely pulled, causing the metal door to creak, and then was directly torn off from the body of the sports car. A person was dragged out of the sports car by Yi Yuan like a dead dog, and then dragged all the way towards Tang Zheng. Boom! The sports car exploded, turning into a ball of flames that soared into the sky, shocking everyone to the point that their hearts trembled. Yi Yuan threw the captive heavily onto the ground. The other party was gasping for breath as he lay in front of Tang Zheng in a sorry state. Tang Zheng squatted down and grabbed the other party's hair. A familiar face appeared in front of his eyes. Eh? It's actually you. Tang Zheng was extremely surprised. Chapter 558. This person was Lei Jun, who had a conflict with Tang Zheng in the shopping mall back then. This time, he had received his father's orders and personally brought people to smash the place, taking the opportunity to vent the anger in his heart. Unexpectedly, enemies were on a narrow road. The enemy he had been painstakingly searching for had no news of him, but at this moment, the other party was standing in front of him alive. He was both surprised and happy. It was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, and obtaining it without any effort. That trace of fear just now vanished like smoke in thin air, as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He became incomparably fearful again. He stared at Tang Zheng restlessly and said, "Brat, so it's you. I've been looking for you for so long, but I haven't been able to find you. This time, don't even think about escaping. If you dare to offend me, I will make you die a miserable death." Tang Zheng snorted in disdain and said, "I think you don't understand the situation. Since that's the case, I'll let you understand the situation first." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Yuan punched Lei Jun's stomach. Wah, he immediately bent down and vomited acid, as if he was about to vomit out his gallbladder. He then fell to the ground and bent into the shape of a shrimp. You dare to hit me?" Lei Jun pointed at Tang Zheng in disbelief. "I'll hit you, what can you do? From what you said just now, you've been looking for me to take revenge, right? Since you haven't given up on me, then I won't let you off. Let's settle the old and new debts together." Tang Zheng's face gradually turned frosty. "New debts and old debts. I should be the one settling them with you. If you treat me like this, my father will definitely not let you off." Lei Jun appeared fierce on the outside and started to use his father to scare Tang Zheng. "Hee, you want to compete with your father, right? I forgot to tell you, I hate people who rely on their father the most. I'm an idiot, and only by relying on my father can I give myself some courage. This kind of life, just thinking about it is very sad," Tang Zheng said in disdain. Lei Jun's face flushed red as he gnashed his teeth in hatred. "Since you want to compete with your father, then tell me, who exactly is your father? I also want to meet him," Tang Zheng asked curiously. "My father is Yusha's Lei Ming. Are you scared now?" Lei Jun said proudly. In the past, whenever he met an opponent, as long as he mentioned his father's name, the opponent would be scared off. There were even people who would kneel down and beg for mercy. Every time this happened, he would enjoy the thrill of the reversal. But this time, he was disappointed. Tang Zheng had no reaction to the name at all. Instead, he said to himself, "Who is Lei Ming? How come I've never heard of him?" "You've never heard of it before? Impossible!" Lei Jun cried out in disbelief. Almost all the reputable people in the province knew of Thundercry's great name. This person actually said that he didn't know of him, it was too absurd. Tang Zheng curled his lips in disapproval and jokingly said, "Is your father so famous that I must have heard of him?" Lei Jun was speechless. When Lin, who heard the two words Lei Ming, his eyelids fiercely jumped. If it was in the past, he would definitely stay away from this level of people. He would even bow and bend his knees. But now, even if Lei Ming was powerful, but in Lin Hu's heart, he still couldn't be compared to young Master Tang. Young Master Tang, Lei Ming is the big brother of the Jade Sand Road's dragon head. He is a powerful character that can cause anyone in the province to tremble if they step on him. Lin Hu softly reminded Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that the other side had a bit of background. But he and Lei Ming had no enmity in the past, so why would he send people to deal with him? However, this wasn't the main problem. Now that the other clubs were also under attack, so he had to first deal with the attack and then deal with the main culprit behind it. Tang Zheng grabbed Lei Jun's collar and lifted him up. His voice was stern as he said, "Since you've fallen into my hands, you better be obedient. Otherwise, I guarantee that even your father won't be able to save you. You will die a very, very miserable death. So now order your subordinates to stop attacking." If you dare to cause trouble in my territory, I will definitely make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead. Threatening me to submit? Then I won't. I want to see what you can do to me, Lei Jun said without fear. In his impression, normal people really didn't dare to touch him, especially those in the underworld. They were even more afraid of his father. Is that so? You asked for it. As his voice fell, Tang Zhang grabbed Lei Jun's arm and fiercely twisted it. Kacha, the bones shattered, and a miserable shriek like that of a pig being slaughtered soared into the sky. Lei Jun's arm was twisted at a strange angle. F***CK. It hurt so much. You mother f***ker. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your whole family. Lei Jun loudly shouted. Tang Zheng's face turned cold. In this life, the people he hated the most were those who threatened his family. He grabbed Lei Jun's shoulder and moved his fingers. Kacha. The bones in Lei Jun's shoulder were all crushed. Immediately, Lei Jun's scream became louder and louder. In the end, it turned into a hoarse whimper. Large beads of sweat flowed down his cheeks. His facial muscles twisted because of the pain and his entire body trembled like a sieve. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you. He finally hurriedly nodded his head. Tang Zheng nodded his head in satisfaction. Make the call quickly. My patience is limited. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep your other arm. Lei Jun hurriedly used his other hand to make a call, ordering his subordinates to stop attacking. When the guests saw this scene, many of them felt their legs go weak and almost fell to the ground. They all looked at Tang Zhang in disbelief, not knowing how he could be so calm at such a young age. The storm had come to an end, but it did not stop. Tang Zhang called out to Lin Hu to entertain the guests, then waved his hand, allowing Yi Yuan to escort Lei Jun into the carriage. Lei Jun was about to faint from the pain. He kept begging to be sent to the hospital, but Tang Zhang turned a deaf ear to him and asked, Why is your Lei family targeting me? I have no enmity with you, right? Lei Jun already understood that although Tang Zhang looked kind, he was definitely not a good person. Thus, he did not dare to hide anything and betrayed Qin Lao like a bamboo tube spilling beans. Tang Zheng's eyes flashed with a cold light as he muttered to himself, So it's this old fellow. He really doesn't change his nature. Where is he now? Tang Zheng had the intention to kill Qin Lao. Since his opponent did not know what was good for him, and being remembered by such a person was not a good thing, he might as well cut the grass and get rid of the roots. At the same time, he could also test the attitude of the Song family. Take me to see him. Yes, no problem. But can you send me to the hospital first? I'm gonna die of pain? Lei Jun begged for mercy with snot and tears. He finally understood the pain of those people who had been stepped on by him in the past. You wish. Of course, Tang Zhang would not let the other party escape. He tapped the other party's body a few times with his finger, and the feeling that entered his heart actually eased a lot. Lei Jun looked at him in disbelief, not knowing what kind of method he was using. In fact, Lei Jun was also a martial artist, but he was not as good as Huang Xiang. Relying on his father, he ate, drank, and played all day long. He was ignorant and incompetent, and his martial arts were almost completely wasted. That was why he was so useless. At this moment, he placed his only hope on his father. Since these people wanted to find his father, he would wait for his father to personally deal with them, and then he would take revenge. Tang Zhang did not care about his little thoughts. He suddenly remembered the celebrity called Lu Yanran, so he casually asked, Wasn't there a celebrity with you last time? How is she? A trace of anger flashed across Lei Jun's face. He gritted his teeth and said, That bitch ran away. Damn, she really thinks she's so powerful. Next time when she comes back, I will definitely deal with her. She's a celebrity. Can you deal with her? So what if she's a celebrity? Nowadays, there are so many celebrities with a price tag. As long as you have money, what kind of celebrity can't you play with? Lei Jun disagreed. Clearly, he was speaking from his experience. Chapter 559. The Jade Sand City was bustling with activity. Once they got off the highway, they could feel the bustling atmosphere. Lin, who didn't know where Thunder Cry lived, but with Lei Jun's guidance, the group headed straight for Thunder Cry's headquarters. The Lei family had been in the underworld for generations. They understood the principle of a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows. Not only did they have a residence in the city, they also had a huge independent villa outside the city. There were 3 floors inside and 3 floors outside, all of which were filled with spies. If there was any movement, Lei Ming would receive the news. As a result, before the 2 cars could get close to the Lei family's villa, they were already discovered. The roadblock at the intersection was put down, blocking the car. Tang Zheng got off the car and looked around. The Lei family's base camp was like a small kingdom, several times larger than Huang San's base camp in the past. When the 2 cars were stopped by the roadblock, a large group of people with unfriendly expressions surrounded them. Tang Zheng was too lazy to waste his breath with these people, so he asked Yi Yuan to escort Lei Jun out of the car. Immediately, when the other party saw the battered and exhausted Lei Jun, it was as if a hornet's nest had exploded, as they roared and rushed over like a tide. Tang Zheng squinted his eyes, and with a wave of his hand, the witch clan immediately rushed out like a tiger and wolf, like a ferocious beast playing with water. The other party's crowd was immediately torn apart, and many people were like splashes of water, flying in all directions. The witch clan was born with divine strength and was also a cultivator. How could this group of mobs who only knew how to force themselves to be strong be compared to them? Not long later, the ground was covered with people, screaming miserably at the top of their lungs. When the others saw this, they finally knew fear and retreated. Who dares to cause trouble in my Lei family? Suddenly, a furious roar sounded out, and the crowd automatically separated. Lei Ming walked out boldly, his eyes like torches, staring at the enemy fiercely. When he saw Lei Jun, his pupils constricted and he couldn't help but clench his fists. Who are you people? Tang Zheng took a step forward and said, You sent people to destroy my business, but you don't know who I am. Humph, how interesting. Lei Ming narrowed his eyes and examined Tang Zheng from head to toe. He asked, Are you Tang Zheng? Looks like you're not that stupid after all. Tang Zheng jokingly said, Impudent. How dare a kid who hasn't even grown out speak to me like that? Lei Ming shouted in an overbearing manner. His eyes turned and locked onto Lin Hu. Lin Hu, you actually followed this brat. I don't know if you have been living like a dog all these years. It was clear that Thunder was more familiar with Lin Hu, who had been in ordinary balance for most of his life, but he was very disdainful of him. Although Tang Zheng had made a name for himself in ordinary balance, in Lei Ming's eyes, he was just a child's play. Ordinary balance was a small place that he had deliberately neglected. Otherwise, how could it have fallen into the hands of others? It was because of Lei Ming's innate pride that he was so arrogant and fearless. Anger flashed across Lin Hu's face. If it was before, he would not have dared to go against Lei Ming. But at this moment, with young Master Tang as his backing, he was not afraid at all. He took a big step forward, stood out and said, Lei Ming, we have always minded our own business, but this time you have crossed the line and dared to make a move on young Master Tang. This is breaking the rules. What do you say we do? Lei Ming snorted disdainfully and said, Rules? You dare to talk to me about rules? In the past, even the ordinary balance's Huang San did not dare to talk to me like that. Who do you think you are, Lin Hu? Lin Hu's face flashed with anger. Lei Ming, I am doing this for your own good. Otherwise, the one who will suffer will be you. Lin Hu had long understood Tang Zheng's style of doing things. If people did not offend him, he would not offend them. If people offended him, he would kill them. However, Lei Ming was not Huang San, and Yusha was not the ordinary balance. Although Lin Hu believed in Tang Zheng's strength, he did not want Tang Zheng to fight to the death with Lei Ming. Tang Zheng could see through Lin Hu's thoughts, but he did not comment. Since he had such thoughts, then he would let him express it. Lei Ming did not know of Lin Hu's good intentions. He was extremely disdainful as he arrogantly laughed. Arrogant, you dare to be so arrogant in my territory, and even dare to say that you are doing this for my own good. Whatever, it seems that my Lei Ming's Reputation is not as good as it was in the past. Any random cat or dog dares to step on me. Today, I will use your deeds to tell others that in this place, I, Lei Ming, have the final say. Lin Hu helplessly shook his head. The other party was stubborn and treated his good intentions as bad intentions. Since that was the case, then there was nothing to talk about. Otherwise, it would be a waste of Tang Zheng's prestige. Lin Hu took a step back and respectfully stood behind Tang Zheng, not saying another word. This result had long been within Tang Zheng's expectations. These stubborn old men would not listen to Lin Hu's words. Tang Zheng leisurely walked forward and said softly, I hate threats the most. Since you have threatened me, then I will definitely not turn a blind eye to it. I must prevent this kind of thing from happening again. However, if you tell me where Qin Lao is, then I will let you die a little faster. Lei Ming looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. Was this brat talking about fantasy? How could he say such shameless words? Lei Ming was stunned for a long time before bursting into laughter. Even his subordinates were laughing. Some of them were laughing so hard that they could not straighten their backs. This was too funny. They had never seen such a reckless person. You want to find Qin Lao? You are not qualified. You want to kill me? Then I will send you to hell first. Lei Ming's face darkened like 10,000 years of ice. He waved his hand and said, Get rid of them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Tang Zheng also frowned and said, One is not enough, it's ruthless enough, as expected of you running amok in Yusha for so many years. Since you want to start a massacre, if I don't return the favor, wouldn't that be too rude? Ah Yuan? Get rid of Lei Jun. Yuan did not hesitate to grab Lei Jun's neck. Lei Jun immediately rolled his eyes and could not breathe. Seeing that his son was in danger, Lei Ming was unable to restrain his anger and roared, Kill him and save my son. Ka ka ka. The sound of gun bolts being pulled rang out, and a dozen or so people jumped out from behind Lei Ming. Each of them had a pistol in their hands, and this was one of Lei Ming's killing moves, a group of death warriors raised by the Lei clan. This group of people could be called sharpshooters, and it was unknown how many lives they had taken. Many of Lei Ming's enemies had already died at their hands. At the same time they fired. Their feet did not stop as they quickly approached in an attempt to save Lei Jun. Kill! Tang Zheng did not retreat an inch. Instead, he took the lead and with a loud roar, he soared into the air and dodged the bullets. The War Soul Sword was already in his hands. The War Soul Sword had long been thirsty to drink human blood. Today, it was just the right time to use these people as sacrificial offerings. With a flash of the blade, Tang Zheng had already pounced in front of the death warrior. With a wide swing of his sword, the pistol in one of his hands broke into two pieces, but the opponent's reaction was also very fast. With his other hand, he also took out a gun and aimed it at Tang Zheng and pulled the trigger. The opponent was actually able to shoot left and right. Both of his hands could use the gun, and his marksmanship was extremely accurate. The War Soul Sword crossed his chest to block. Clang, clang, clang. The golden bullets struck the sword, but did not injure Tang Zheng in the slightest. How could Tang Zheng allow the opponent to suppress him like this? With a flash, he moved away from the muzzle of the gun, and the War Soul Sword fell from the sky. Poochie! The opponent's two arms were cut off, blood splattering everywhere. Tang Zheng kicked the opponent in the chest, and the opponent flew backwards. All of this seemed complicated, but in fact, it all happened in a split second. Seeing the bullets flying towards him, Yi Yuan grabbed Lei Jun and used him as a shield, blocking in front of him. Pu, blood splattered everywhere, and Lei Jun immediately turned into a hornet's nest, dead to the point that he couldn't be any more dead. Lei Ming's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets when he saw this. He roared, My son! Kill them all! Avenge my son! Don't leave a single one alive! Kill them all! Kill their families too! Cut the weeds and dig up the roots! Leave no one alive! Immediately, the faces of the death warriors became even colder, as if they were facing death, and the speed at which they pulled the trigger became even faster. The Witch Clan warriors did not sit still and wait for death. They followed behind Tang Zheng and shuttled through the rain of bullets. The bullets brushed past their bodies, but their expressions did not change, as if the bullets were just small stones that they did not put in their eyes at all. The Witch Clan warriors already knew the power of guns and cannons, so of course they would not foolishly use their bodies to block them. Although they had all cultivated the Primal Chaos Vajra spell, they would not take the risk of using their bodies to block the bullets. On the other hand, Wu was the calmest. She knew very well that these people could not harm Tang Zheng at all, so she crossed her arms and calmly watched as Tang Zheng charged forward. Occasionally, 1 or 2 bullets would fly towards her, but she would only slightly move her body to dodge them. Everyone was shocked when they saw that this tiger-like army was actually not afraid of the lethality of the bullets. If it was just one person, it would not be enough to be afraid, but the key was that all 30 of them were the same. This rainbow-like aura was even more frightening than those death warriors. The moment the bullets finally changed the stretcher, the Witch Clan warriors took advantage of this gap and swung out their fists like iron hammers, smashing into the temples of these people. With a muffled bang, not only did people fall down, there were also people who fell down. These warriors, who had been fighting ferocious beasts in the forest all year round. Every move was a killing move. There were no extra movements at all, and they were as smooth as flowing water. They were filled with the violent beauty of iron and blood, causing people to be shocked to the core. However, their attacks had one thing in common, and that was that their movements were relatively single. Furthermore, everyone's movements were completely different. It was obvious that they were not the moves of the system, but the moves that they had figured out in practice. This was the weakness of the Witch Clan. Although they could cultivate, the Primal Chaos Vajra spell was a cultivation technique that tempered the body, not a technique. Therefore, although their cultivation was not low, their techniques were still weak. Chapter 560. The Witch Clan was invincible, and in an instant, all of the death warriors were dead or injured. Lei Ming's eyes revealed fear as he stared fixedly at Tang Zheng. How could this brat's skills be so terrifying? Tang Zheng seemed to feel Lei Ming's gaze. He turned his head to look, and when their eyes met, Lei Ming's eyes felt as if they had been pricked by a needle, and was intimidated by Tang Zheng's aura, causing his heart to tremble in fear. Damn it! This group of people is far more powerful than I imagined. No, most of them are watching the scene, so there aren't that many people to deal with him. I have to get reinforcements. Seeing the death warriors fall one by one, Lei Ming's heart was bleeding. It was not easy to nurture these death warriors. He had suffered a huge loss this time. Qin Lao did not remind him that Tang Zheng was so powerful, and allowed him to poke such a big hornet's nest. Lei Ming hid behind the crowd and retreated bit by bit as he made a call and spoke in a low voice. After hanging up the phone, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. The Great Life Order said, "All of you, go up and block them. If anyone dares to take half a step back, not only will I kill him, I will also kill his entire family." With this threat, no one dared to retreat. Those who had retreated to the side had reluctantly rushed forward, but in front of the shamans, these people were like paper. Although there were 200 or 300 of them, against an opponent who was only 1/10 of them, they were defeated like a landslide. These people did not have guns, they only had some cold weapons, so the threat was even weaker. Not long later, these people collapsed and retreated in defeat. They no longer cared about Lei Ming's threat and fled in panic while crying for their parents. "Where's Lei Ming?" Tang Zheng stopped. The War Soul sword was still dripping with blood. He asked with a murderous aura. Yi Yuan and the rest shook their heads. Just now, they were only focused on killing the enemy, but they did not notice Lei Ming and let him slip away. Wu walked up, pointed at the large villa in the distance, and said, "He escaped in." It was obvious that Lei Ming, who had been observing the situation quietly and had not made a move, did not escape her eyes. "Let's go. What kind of broken big brother dragon head is this? He only has this bit of courage and this bit of skill. He's running pretty fast." Tang Zheng said disdainfully. He had wronged Lei Ming, but he couldn't blame Lei Ming for running away. Tang Zheng's display of strength was simply too shocking. The people of the underworld were at most a little more ruthless. Even if they competed for territory and fought in large groups, it was not so tragic. Even if there were warriors, there were only a few of them. A gunman team like Lei Ming, who had cultivated a group of men of sacrifice, could run rampant in this territory. They had stood tall for many years, and no one dared to provoke them. However, these strengths were obviously not enough in front of Tang Zheng. Even a national secret organization like the Dragon Group was something that Tang Zheng dared to contend against. Against these local forces, it was simply crushing them, making them unable to resist at all. In fact, this was also one of the reasons why Tang Zheng was not interested in the underground world. Although it looked impressive on the surface, in fact, in Tang Zheng's eyes, it was just like that. No matter how powerful the boss was, his vision was too small, and his strength was not enough to look at. Tang Zheng's vision was no longer what it used to be. After seeing so many mountains and ridges, how could he be interested in some bumpkins? Therefore, playing with the underground world was equivalent to an adult bullying a child. However, if there was an underground force that dared to challenge his dignity, then they would be a devilish child. When dealing with devilish children, they would definitely not be lenient. If they did not beat them up until they were afraid, they would not know how to restrain themselves. This time, Tang Zheng's action of wantonly attacking Thunder's headquarters was firstly to take revenge, and secondly to intimidate the other forces, so that they would not dare to provoke him again, and also so that the other forces would not dare to take half a step into the ordinary balance. Otherwise, in the future, when he left the ordinary balance to go to school, these forces would come to the ordinary balance to cause trouble. Wouldn't that be very troublesome? Bang! With a kick on the thick door, the door was directly kicked flying. The large, luxurious villa was completely silent, and many servants were hiding in the corner, trembling. "Where did Thunder go?" Tang Zheng asked. The servants shook their heads in fear and unease. "Looks like he really hid like a turtle. Then let's put in some effort. If we don't find him, we won't withdraw today." Under Tang Zheng's orders, the Witch Clan warriors split into several groups and began to search the villa. However, after half a day, they found nothing. He can't have grown wings and flew away, right?" Tang Zheng said strangely. No one answered him, but a series of sirens came from afar. Lin Hu's face stiffened, and he hurriedly said, "Young Master Tang, the police are here. Lei Ming has run amok in Jade Sand for so many years. He must have a protective umbrella. It's not appropriate for us to directly clash with the police. Let's go first." Tang Zheng's eyes flashed. The corner of his mouth hooked up and said, "Since it's a protective umbrella, protecting this kind of person is not a good person. Why would we be afraid of these people? Moreover, if a person like Lei Ming were to let the tiger return to the mountain, then he would definitely hide. At that time, he would be in the dark and we would be in the light." Tang Zheng did not have a ticking time bomb waiting for him. He himself was not afraid, but there were too many people related to him. If someone were to die because of this, then it would be too late for him to regret it. Tang Zheng simply turned around and walked out. When he walked to the door, he saw that a black mass of police had already surrounded the villa, each one of them as if they were facing a great enemy, but also panicked. Especially the dead and injured people on the ground, it gave them too much of a shock. Jade Sand hasn't had such a large-scale incident for many years, and many people still didn't know what was going on. Just where did this fierce person come from to cause such a big mess? Seeing a group of people walk out, the group of police pulled out their guns and pointed them at them. One of them, who looked like an officer, raised a loudspeaker and shouted, "All of you, put down your weapons and surrender, otherwise we will open fire." Tang Zheng looked at the other party with a smile, and suddenly walked towards them. The police immediately acted as if they were facing a great enemy, and shouted, "Stop! Take one more step and we will open fire." Tang Zheng stopped, looked at the other party, and said with a smile, "Lei Ming really has a lot of face. He actually called over so many police helpers. Fine, since the police are here, then there is no way to continue fighting. You still want to fight? This father will let you eat a bullet." The police officer shouted, "Is that so? Hee hee." Tang Zheng chuckled disapprovingly. "Don't move, or else we'll immediately shoot and turn you into a hornet's nest." The police officer threatened, and then hurriedly ordered his subordinates to capture Tang Zheng. A group of policemen carried their guns. their muzzles never leaving Tang Zheng's side as they carefully walked towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng did not move, as if he was truly frightened. Seeing that, Yi Yuan was about to rush up and repel the policeman, but he was stopped by Tang Zheng's gaze. Immediately, the others were indignant, their eyes spitting fire as they watched the police surround Tang Zheng, handcuff him, and arrest him. Yi Yuan and his clansmen were puzzled. They did not know why the Lord Envoy wanted to surrender. Only Wu Wu looked at Tang Zheng thoughtfully. You still have guts. Who exactly are you to dare to be so unbridled in Yusha and kill so many people? The police officer finally had the guts to swagger out and ask arrogantly. Lei Ming wants to kill me. Of course I want to kill him, Tang Zheng said calmly. The police officer did not expect Tang Zheng to narrate the matter so calmly. He was startled for a moment, then immediately flew into a rage. You dare to be so arrogant in my territory, brat. You are the first one to dare to touch Master Lei. You really ate the guts of a leopard. I can tell you clearly, you will die miserably. Master Lei. Hee. You police officers already call Lei Ming master. What a group of virtuous and filial sons. Tang Zheng said in ridicule. These words immediately aroused the anger of the crowd. Someone kicked Tang Zheng's waist, but Tang Zheng did not move at all. He looked at the other with ridicule and said, Is this all you have? Brat, I'll call you crazy. I've seen a lot of people like you. When you get to the police station, I'll see how crazy you are. The police officer clenched his teeth and said, obviously hating Tang Zheng to death. Arrest the others. Don't let a single one of them go. We must severely punish this group of outlaws. The police immediately pounced on the Witch Clan warrior. Without the orders of the envoy, everyone dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. No one resisted as they were all handcuffed. Moreover, the police did not let down their guard in the slightest. One by one, the black muzzles were pointed at them, ready to fire at any time. Tang Zheng, however, acted as if nothing had happened. He stared at the other party and said, Since we've been arrested, then shouldn't the main character come out and say a few words to show off his strength and express his feelings? The other party was stunned for a moment, unable to understand Tang Zheng's thoughts. Brat, you talk a lot. I'll make you speechless later, the police officer said hatefully. As soon as he finished speaking, a person walked out of the villa with large strides. He greeted the police officer with an ashen face. Chief Hong, thank you for coming in time. Wasn't this person Lei Ming who was hiding? Tang Zheng looked at Lei Ming with a smile and said, Aren't you going to be a coward? Lei Ming said fiercely, Brat, let's see how you dare to be arrogant now. You killed my son. I will definitely let you taste the pain of not wanting to live and live a life worse than death. I'm afraid you won't have that chance. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, What do you mean? Lei Ming's heart skipped a beat as he suddenly had an ominous premonition. However, looking at the armed police, his confidence instantly soared. Just like what Lin Hu had said, the Lei family had been operating in Jade Sand for 2 generations and had bribed countless officials. That was why they were so unbridled. However, Lei Ming would not easily use his official resources. After all, no one had the ability to force him to this step in all these years. This time, he was caught off guard and forced into a corner by Tang Zheng, which was why he couldn't wait to seek official support. Chapter 561. Kacha. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Zheng's handcuffed hands were pulled to the sides, and the handcuffs were like paper, breaking into 2 halves. Suddenly, everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Kacha! Kacha! However, as if that sound was a signal, the sound of the handcuffs breaking came one after another. After a while, all the witchcraft warriors regained their freedom. The policemen were stunned and didn't know what to do. Lei Ming reacted quickly and shouted, Open fire! Hurry up and open fire. He had seen how powerful these people were. Since they dared to break free from the handcuffs, it meant that they were not afraid of the police. Since he had been exposed, wouldn't he be in danger? He was just an outsider. How could the police listen to his order and shoot directly? Moreover, the guns of the police nowadays were more of a deterrent. Some of them probably hadn't fired a gun in a year, so no one immediately opened fire. This gave the warriors of the witch tribe an opportunity to attack, and they would not hesitate. However, they also knew that these policemen were not gangsters, so they did not kill them. One by one, they greeted the policemen with their fists. The policemen subconsciously resisted, but how could their wrestling skills be a match for the warriors of the witch tribe? Bang! 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 The policemen were knocked down one by one and their guns were taken away. The police officer was half a beat faster than the other police officers. The gun in his hand was aimed at Tang Zhang and he fiercely pulled the trigger, but Tang Zhang's movements were even faster than his. With a point of his finger, the police officer found that his finger could not pull the trigger no matter what. Not long after, his entire body stiffened and he could not move. "What did you do to me?" Tang Zhang smiled mysteriously. He had only sealed the policeman's acupoints. Although Tang Zhang was not afraid of him, after all, his skin had a certain protective effect. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Tang Zhang didn't want to hurt the police. Lei Ming's reaction was faster than everyone else. When Tang Zhang pointed his finger, he waved his hand and a cold light flashed, shooting directly at Tang Zhang's throat. Tang Zhang felt a shiver run down his spine. Seeing how cowardly the other party was and how he only knew how to run away, Tang Zhang thought that he was just a fake. Who would have thought that he was actually hiding his true strength? From the looks of it, the other party was at least a Xiantian lord. However, thinking about it from another perspective, it was understandable. Back then, Huang San was a first-grade Xiantian realm martial artist. This Lei Ming naturally didn't just rely on a group of powerful subordinates to occupy such an important place like Jade Sand. To forge iron, one needed to be strong. Without a solid foundation of true martial arts, how could he intimidate those lawless people under him? Seeing that the cold light was about to hit Tang Zhang's throat, Tang Zhang slightly twisted his body to avoid being hit. The cold light hit Tang Zhang's shoulder. Lei Ming was overjoyed. His sneak attack had finally succeeded. His weapon was coated with poison. Once it touched blood, it would seal the mouth. Even if he did not hit a vital point, as long as he managed to stab the opponent would not be able to keep his life. This was Lei Ming's trump card. He would never show it to others easily. However, as long as he used it, it would never miss. It would catch the enemy off guard and take their life. This was also one of the reasons why he had been holding back. He had been waiting for an opportunity. Otherwise, if Tang Zhang managed to dodge it, the second time would not be so easy. Clang! A crisp sound rang out. That cold light did not pierce Tang Zhang's shoulder. Instead, it was bounced back. The complacent expression on Lei Ming's face suddenly disappeared. His body stiffened as he looked at the scene in disbelief. This was a weapon forged from diamond. Why did it not pierce the opponent's shoulder? Tang Zhang lowered his head and looked at his shoulder. There was a hole in his clothes, revealing the skin underneath. His skin flashed with a metallic luster before everything returned to normal. Lei Ming unwaveringly stared at Tang Zhang's shoulder, hoping to see a trace of blood. However, he was disappointed as he clearly saw that Tang Zhang's skin did not have a single wound. At this moment, his heart was overwhelmed with shock as he thought to himself, "Is this person invulnerable?" The chaotic Vajra spell was indeed extraordinary. This attack was enough to pierce through the body of an ordinary person, but it did not leave a single wound on Tang Zhang's body. Tang Zhang was very satisfied with this effect. The corner of his mouth curled up and he smiled mysteriously. "Lei Ming, smart. You actually know how to sneak attack. It's just that you didn't expect this, right? Who the hell are you? You're so young. How can you be invulnerable?" Lei Ming asked in fear. Tang Zhang snorted and did not reply. Instead, he walked towards the other party step by step. His gaze locked onto the weapon in Lei Ming's hand. This weapon was very strange. It was an iron chain. However, at the front of the chain was a thin, sharp blade that was as long as a palm, glowing with a trace of blue light. Seeing Tang Zhang's murderous aura, Lei Ming knew that he was about to face a fierce battle. In the past, when he faced his enemies, he had always been confident, but now he was extremely guilty and did not have the slightest bit of confidence. Especially after Tang Zhang displayed his invulnerability, it made things worse. He only had the urge to quickly escape, and at the same time, he had already cursed Qin Lao and the ancestors of the Song family in his heart. If they had not come to find him and promised him great benefits, how could he have provoked a nemesis like Tang Zhang? Seeing Tang Zhang close in, Lei Ming let out a low roar and hurriedly retreated. With a flick of his finger, with a so sound, the chain flew out and attacked Tang Zhang like a poisonous snake. With a flash of sword light, the War Soul sword slashed fiercely, causing ripples in the air. The chain was unable to get close to Tang Zhang in the slightest, and immediately, the two sides engaged in a fierce battle. Sword light danced in the air, interweaving with the shadows of thousands of chains. After the others dealt with the police, they immediately gathered together to enjoy the fierce battle. The policemen were even more dumbstruck. They had already forgotten the pain in their bodies and did not dare to breathe. Only now did they understand that they had really kicked an iron plate this time. Lei Ming retreated step by step, and was safely suppressed by Tang Zhang. Moreover, he clearly felt that the other party did not use his full strength. Otherwise his situation would be even worse. He really regretted it, gasping for breath as he begged for mercy. Misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. This time, it's a flood rushing against the Dragon King's temple. We don't know each other, so let's stop fighting and sit down to talk. Okay? Tang Zhang sneered. This was the so-called Jade Sand Road's big brother, who was so greedy for life and afraid of death. It was really shocking. He did not know that Lei Ming had not personally killed an enemy for many years, and his youthful spirit had been completely wiped out. He was not like Tang Zhang, who was not afraid of anything. Moreover, people who had been at ease for too long would cherish their lives more. Where is Qin Lao? Tang Zhang asked coldly. Lei Ming heard this and quickly said, He has already left my house, but he is still in Jade Sand. I heard that he went to Tian Shuji's place. Who is Tian Shuji? The secretary of the provincial party committee. Tang Zhang understood. The power of the Song family was indeed not to be underestimated. They actually had a good relationship with the governor of a province. No matter why Lei Ming went to find this Governor Tian, since Tang Zhang wanted to kill Qin Lao, then he had to find the other party even if he had to dig 3 feet into the ground. I have already answered your question, so can you let me go? Lei Ming asked pitifully. He did not have any of his previous prestige, which made the policeman surprised. It turned out that the usually arrogant Lei Ming also had this side. Tang Zhang chuckled and mercilessly crushed Lei Ming's hope. If you had this kind of attitude from the beginning, then you would not have come to this point. Now it is too late for you to say anything. Lei Ming's eyes flashed with a touch of panic. How can you be like this? I have already answered your question. Did I promise you that if you answered my question, you would not die? You! Lei Ming was speechless. Tang Zhang indeed did not promise. Suddenly, his face changed, full of determination and murderous intent. He gritted his teeth and said, If you kill me, the police will not let you go. You are counting on your protection to fight for a way out. It may be useful to others, but it is useless to me. Tang Zhang was not even afraid of a mysterious organization like the Dragon Group, so why would he be afraid of the police? Moreover, he was now cooperating with the National Security Bureau. If the National Security Bureau could not even handle such a small matter, then how could he continue to show his face? Therefore, Tang Zhang dared to cause such a ruckus without the slightest scruple because he was completely prepared. He was truly fearless. Lei Ming was shocked. He had been around for most of his life, but he had never seen such a daring person. Although he was the tyrant of Jade Sand, he still had to rely on a big tree and seek protection from many umbrellas before he dared to do such a thing. Where did this brat's confidence come from? Brat, you killed Master Lei. Don't even think about leaving Jade Sand. Seeing this, the police officer could not help but support Lei Ming. Tang Zhang sneered and did not comment. With a flash of his feet, he used the earth-shrinking technique and immediately closed the distance between them. The War Soul sword chopped down, the powerful aura oppressing the stones on the ground and causing them to explode. Dust and smoke rose in all directions, and then the sword light descended, cutting through the smoke and dust, slashing towards Lei Ming's neck. Lei Ming shouted loudly as the chain flew out and wrapped around the War Soul sword, blocking the attack. Then, with a tap of his foot on the ground, he quickly retreated backwards, and with another tap of his foot, he shot out like an arrow, leaving the bow, madly fleeing. Not far away was a small forest. As long as he escaped into this forest, he could easily hide his tracks. As long as he escaped this calamity, it would not be too late for him to take revenge in the future. At that time, he would definitely kill all the people related to Tang Zhang and let him know the consequences of going against him, Lei Ming. Seeing that the other party had already escaped over 100 meters away, as if there was wind beneath his feet, Tang Zhang did not chase after him. With a wave of his hand, the chain wrapped around the War Soul sword flew out, quickly and accurately shooting towards Lei Ming's back. Hearing the strong wind coming from behind him, Lei Ming hurriedly dodged to the side. However, his speed was still a bit slower than the speed of the chain. With a poochie sound, a bright red flower bloomed on his arm. His arm was cut by the sharp blade. Chapter 562. Lei Ming screamed miserably, but he did not care about the pain. He grabbed his arm and saw that the blood flowing out of the wound had already turned black, and like a small snake, many black lines spread out from the wound to the other parts of his body. He was so scared that his face was drained of blood. He knew too well how powerful his weapon was. There was no cure for this poison. Moreover, the poison would follow his blood vessels and spread to his 8 extraordinary meridians. Soon he would die suddenly. Furthermore, he did not have the antidote. I can't die, I can't die. He was like a sieve, shivering as he stuck his arm above his head, trying to stop the blood from flowing. However, it was futile, and the poison was spreading at a speed visible to the naked eye. The others watched from afar as he was scared out of his wits. They were truly curious. Tang Zhang and Wu Qiu's eyes flashed at the same time as they ran towards Lei Ming. When they saw Lei Ming's wound, the two of them looked at each other and immediately understood why he was so afraid. It turned out that the weapon was poisoned. If not for the fact that he had cultivated the primal chaos Vajra mantra, he would have been injured by the weapon just now. Then, his death would have been too unjust. The true masters of the martial arts world disdained to use poison. After all, it was not a righteous method. Moreover, those masters were very confident in their skills. Why would they use poison and lower their status? However, Lei Ming was different. He was a man of the underworld. He only wanted to survive, so he was willing to do anything. He was probably very proud of himself for smearing poison on his weapon. However, this incident reminded Tang Zhang and Wu that if they met an enemy in the future, they had to be on guard against them using poison. Otherwise, if they failed miserably, they would suffer a huge loss. In addition, Tang Zhang also thought of something. Was there an omnipotent antidote pill in this world that was like a universal key that could remove or suppress most poisons? This would play a huge role in times of need, just like how the pill refined by the Witch Clan elder could suppress the poison of the miasma in the 10,000 huge mountains, thus ensuring that people could pass through the miasma on their own. In the future, I must carefully think about the matter of the antidote elixir. Tang Zhang silently noted this down. Lei Ming saw that the poison in the wound was spreading rapidly, and he knew that he would die soon. Suddenly, a determined look flashed across his face. He grabbed the arm and pulled hard. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere as he tore off his arm. He was in so much pain that his eyes rolled back. Everyone else's heart tightened. This Lei Ming was really ruthless. If he could be so ruthless to himself, he wouldn't have the slightest bit of mercy to others. Tang Zhang couldn't help but rejoice that he had pretended to be weak and lured the snake out of its hole. Otherwise, if Lei Ming had escaped, Tang Zhang would have to face a lot of trouble in the future. But he originally didn't want to interfere with this poisonous snake. All of this was caused by the Song family's interference. Therefore, Tang Zheng's resentment towards the Song family deepened. He absolutely couldn't let Qin Lao leave. He had to make the Song family pay the price for this operation. The intense pain caused Lei Ming's face to twist. But before he could breathe a sigh of relief, he saw that the blood flowing out of the wound had turned black. This meant that the poison had spread to the internal organs of his body. Suddenly, his face turned ashen. He had endured the pain of losing his arm, but he was a step too late. Immediately, he began to twitch non-stop. He fiercely glared at Tang Zheng and hysterically roared, "Tang Zheng, I won't let you go. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Humph, this is you seeking your own death. You only have yourself to blame. If it wasn't for my strength being above others, I would have already died by your hands. Since you're in this line of work, you should understand the principle of the weak being prey to the strong. You took the initiative to start this war, so you should be aware of the consequences." Tang Zheng coldly said, "I refuse to accept this. It was clearly the Song family who wanted to deal with you. They wanted to seize the ordinary balance's territory. Why am I the one who died? Ah!" Suddenly, Lei Ming let out a mournful scream. His body stood tall and then suddenly stiffened. It was as if all the strength in his body had been sucked out. He heavily fell to the ground, no longer breathing. Tang Zheng's eyes didn't have the slightest bit of pity. Being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Tang Zheng had long since learned this principle. But when he heard Lei Ming's last sentence, his eyelids jumped and he muttered to himself, "So even if I didn't make a move against the ordinary balance courtyard, the Song family had already decided to deal with me. Moreover, they had started with the ordinary balance. If I really let them control the underground world of the ordinary balance, then wouldn't the people related to me be in trouble?" He rejoiced a bit. He had made the first move and gained the upper hand. Then he had seized the initiative step by step, causing the other side to not have time to carry out their plans before they were crushed by him. He believed that after this matter, there wouldn't be any power near the ordinary balance who would dare to stir up trouble in the ordinary balance. It doesn't matter if you don't accept it, because, from the moment you colluded with the Song family, you were already destined to be cannon fodder. Tang Zheng calmly said. Even if the other side had taken the initiative and succeeded, they would definitely have suffered a blow from Tang Zheng. And Lei Ming would have to bear the brunt of Tang Zheng's anger. So, from the beginning, Lei Ming had been pushed out by the Song family to die as a shield. But it was a pity that Lei Ming didn't understand Tang Zheng's strength. He was completely blinded by the benefits promised by the Song family. Only then did he attract this disaster. Marshall glanced at the calm and collected Tang Zheng. Her heart was slightly moved. He seemed to be more and more like her master. He killed decisively and was absolutely not merciful to the enemy. She didn't feel afraid. On the contrary, she was somewhat happy and gratified. A tiger father wouldn't have a dog son. If her master knew about this matter, he would definitely be very happy. Of course, her anger towards the Song family was becoming more and more intense. She could hate Tang Zheng and even ruthlessly cut him a few times, but she didn't want others to deal with him. If it was in the past, she would have already used the strength of the martial sect to brutally attack the Song family. But now that the martial sect had fallen apart, she no longer had any power or manpower in her hands. She could only silently remember this matter in her heart and wait for the right time to give the Song family a fatal blow. She had to let the Song family know the consequences of daring to deal with Tang Zheng. The two of them walked back to the front of the policeman. All of them had expressions of fear on their faces. Even though they had seen a lot of things and had even caught a lot of criminals, they still felt fear when facing a person of Tang Zheng's level. Moreover, he seemed to have no fear in his heart. Even though he had killed Lei Ming in front of everyone, he wasn't in a hurry to escape. Instead, he looked at them with interest. Could it be that killing Lei Ming wasn't enough for him and he still wanted to kill all of the witnesses? Everyone's hearts skipped a beat. It was as if they had fallen into an ice cave. The coldness was bone-piercing as they looked at Tang Zheng with pale faces. What are you going to do? The police officer's lips were trembling as he stammered and asked fearfully. The trace of luck in his heart had already disappeared. This person even dared to kill Lei Ming, let alone them. Tang Zhang looked at him coldly and said, "If it wasn't for the fact that you're wearing this skin, you would have accompanied him as well. In the future, if you do anything bad, your duty is to protect the common people, not to protect them. Do you understand?" When the other party heard that he could live, he was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "Understood, understood. We will definitely turn over a new leaf and do our duty to protect the common people." Tang Zhang coldly snorted, turned around and left. The Witch Clan warriors also followed, and the two cars sped away like lightning. "Sai, you haven't untied me yet. I can't move," the police officer shouted in panic, but the car had already gone far away. At the intersection of the highway, the two cars stopped. Tang Zhang instructed Tang Zhang to send his clansmen back to the ordinary balance. There were too many people and the target was too big. If there was a mishap, no matter who lost, Tang Zhang's heart would ache. "Lord Envoy, this place is dangerous. We will stay by your side to protect you," Yi Yuan insisted. Tang Zhang laughed and said, "No one can hurt me in this jade sand. Don't worry, bring your clansmen back. Lin Hu, arrange for them. These people will be escorting our businesses in the future." Lin Hu still had not recovered from his shock. Even though he had followed Tang Zhang for a few days, he had not experienced many major events, so he did not have a thorough understanding of Tang Zhang's style. After experiencing this matter, he truly understood that Tang Zhang's realm was far from what he could imagine. Many of the rules and difficulties that he thought to be difficult were not even worth mentioning in front of Tang Zhang. "Young Master Tang, Lei Ming is already dead. What are you still doing in Jade Sand?" Lin Hu took a deep breath and asked curiously. "Lei Ming is just a small character. Qin Lao is the big fish. Only by taking care of this big fish will the Song family feel pain. Otherwise, the Song family will still do these small actions in the future," Tang Zhang said with a faint smile. Lin Hu seemed to understand. However, Wu understood. Now that Tang Zhang no longer had the backing of the Ye family, and also had the identity of a cultivator, the Song family was so unbridled. Since he didn't have a backer, then he would be his own backer. After hurting the Song family, he would know that he was afraid and wouldn't do these small actions again. Of course, the Song family would definitely hate Tang Zhang to death and would definitely think of ways to deal with Tang Zhang. However, the Song family would not play this kind of small trick again because small tricks were always difficult to use and would not be able to shake Tang Zhang. Furthermore, small tricks could easily cause Tang Zhang to take revenge, and the Song family had a large business and many people. If Tang Zhang wanted to take revenge, it would be too easy, and the gains would not make up for the losses. Tang Zhang and Dou Wu both understood this logic. Seeing the carriage of people leave, Tang Zhang and Wu returned to the car. Tang Zhang did not let Wu go back, because he knew that the other party would definitely not leave, and he could not order him to leave. "Where are we going now?" Wu asked. Lei Ming said that this big fish is hiding at the provincial party secretary's place. "Of course, we have to pay a visit to this governor," Tang Zhang said with a smile. He started the car and sped towards his destination. At this moment, Yusha was in an uproar. The news of Lei Ming's death was like a spring breeze blowing through the streets and alleys. However, many people did not know the specific details. Only a few related personnel knew. As for the witnesses, they were all ordered to keep their mouths shut. Chapter 563. The provincial committee's courtyard was filled with the most powerful people in the province. The security was tight, and ordinary people would not be able to break in at all. However, to Tang Zhang and Wu, this was not a problem at all because the two of them were not ordinary people. They did not walk through the main door, but instead found a remote corner of the courtyard wall, and with a leap, they quietly entered the courtyard. Qin Lao was hiding under the protection of the provincial party secretary, so naturally, Tang Zhang would not be the slightest bit afraid, but he would be even more cautious. However, it was not easy to find a person in this large courtyard. He had to find someone and ask which house the provincial party secretary lived in. At this moment, the sky had completely darkened, The night had become the best protective clothing for the two of them. Even if a few groups of guards patrolled past them, they did not discover them. Suddenly, a person walked out from a building. Tang Zhang leaped up, like a black elf. He immediately arrived behind the other party and covered the other party's mouth. Tang Zhang was shocked. This person actually knew martial arts, but he was not worried. How could an ordinary person be his opponent? So he grabbed the other person's wrist and suddenly used force. The other person's attack disappeared without a trace. Tang Zhang was shocked. This person actually knew martial arts, but he was not worried. How could an ordinary person be his opponent? So he grabbed the other person's wrist and suddenly used force. The other person's attack disappeared without a trace. The other party did not panic, but was instead calm and composed. With a lift of his long leg, he kicked towards the lower half of Tang Zhang's body. Damn! You're going to cut off my happiness for the rest of my life. Tang Zhang stared at him. This person's attack was really fierce, but in the end, his opponent's strength was not as good as Tang Zhang's. So he still managed to resolve the crisis first. With a twist of his body, the other party spun like a top and turned around, facing Tang Zhang. When he saw this person's face, Tang Zhang was shocked. He immediately released his hand and asked, "Sister Mei, why is it you?" This person was actually Lu Qingmei. No wonder her counterattack was so sharp. After all, she was a cultivator. Lu Qingmei also opened her eyes wide, looked at Tang Zhang in surprise and asked, "My family lives here, of course I'm here. More importantly, why are you here? When did you come to Jade Sand? Why didn't you contact me?" There was a hint of coquettishness in her voice. "You're home." As if waking up from a dream, Tang Zhang slapped his head. He was really an idiot. He had actually forgotten that she was the daughter of the governor. Why did he bother to ask other people? Wasn't she very familiar with this place? Lu Qingmei glared at him bitterly. She knew that he wouldn't come here for no reason. This time, he definitely wasn't here to look for her, but for something more important. She couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. After the winter break, she didn't stay in the capital alone. Instead, she returned to Yusha under her father's persuasion. Because she was not on good terms with her father, she rarely returned home. But this time, her father persuaded her again and again. In addition, the relationship between Lu Qingmei and Tang Zhang had improved by leaps and bounds. She was in a good mood, so she agreed to her father's request. "What are you doing here?" Lu Qingmei looked suspiciously at the marshal behind Tang Zhang and frowned. "I'm here to find someone." "Who?" "A member of the Song family hiding in the provincial party committee secretary's house." Tian Shuji's house. Lu Qingmei was very astonished. As the second in command of the province, her father had a lot of friction with the first in command, Tian Shuji. Moreover, both sides lived in the same provincial party committee courtyard, so of course they would understand each other. She was more clear than Tang Zhang on the power of a provincial party committee secretary, so when she heard that Tang Zhang was going to his house to find a member of the Song family, she immediately became vigilant. "Why are you looking for that person? Kill him." "Ah!" Lu Qingmei turned pale with fright and almost cried out. She immediately covered her mouth and fearfully said, "Why do you want to kill him? Moreover, you're too daring. You dare to charge into the provincial party committee secretary's house and kill him." Tang Zhang was expressionless as he firmly said, "This person must be killed." "You!" Lu Qingmei speechlessly rolled her eyes. She knew that since he had already made up his mind, it would be useless for her to persuade him. Tang Zhang was such a person. He could be muddle-headed over small matters, but he would never change his mind because of a person's words. If it was in the past, Lu Qingmei would definitely shout and forcefully stop Tang Zhang when she heard that he wanted to kill someone. But now that she was also a cultivator, many of her views had subtly changed. Moreover, she knew that Tang Zhang was not a bloodthirsty person, so this person must be a threat to him. "You're gonna rush in and kill that person in front of Tian Shuji?" Lu Qingmei curiously asked. Tang Zhang nodded. At this time, Lu Qingmei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She stretched out her slender finger and tapped Tang Zhang's forehead as she angrily said, "You're too careless. Although I don't know what the reason is, you absolutely can't rush in and kill someone. This will cause a huge uproar. If I don't do this, Could it be that I have to wait for a long time and wait for the governor to leave home before I take action? A long night is fraught with problems. I don't want to delay, Tang Zheng helplessly said. Lu Qingmei smiled. Her eyes rolled as she proudly said, I say you're smart, but sometimes you're really stupid. You don't have a way, but I have a way. You must know that this is my territory. Is it okay? Tang Zheng was half believing and half doubtful. Lu Qingmei glared at him and said, You don't believe me, right? Just wait for me. Just now I saw that Tian Shuji has already returned home. In a moment I'll have him leave home and then you can take action. Seeing her solemn vow, Tang Zheng no longer doubted her and nodded to show that he understood. It was better to avoid trouble. If he could quietly kill Qin Lao, then there was no need to make a big fuss. Lu Qingmei was overjoyed as she said, Just wait for me. Watch me. Wait for me for a moment. I'll be right out. Finished speaking, she directly returned home. Governor Lu sat on the sofa reading the newspaper. Seeing his daughter return, he curiously raised his head and asked, Qingmei, didn't you say you wanted to go out and get some fresh air? Why did you come back? There's something I need to do. Whatever it is, we'll talk about it tomorrow. You should rest well today. I've already made an appointment with your Uncle Yang to eat together tomorrow. Xiaoyu finally came back from abroad. Tomorrow you two should meet. You're both young and should interact with each other. You're not young anymore, Governor Lu solemnly said. Lu Qingmei's expression suddenly changed as she said, Didn't I just say it? If you want to go, then go by yourself. I don't want to go. Hung, don't think that I don't understand that this is a disguised blind date. I've already told you that I already have a boyfriend. Governor Lu's expression sank as he said, What boyfriend? You're still talking about that student of yours, right? Nonsense. I've already told you time and time again that you and him won't end up together. Xiaoyu came back from abroad, and not only did he study abroad, he also worked abroad for many years. He's mature and steady. This time he came back to start his own business. This is a true young talent. He's much better than that whatever student of yours. Lu Qingmei curled her lips and retorted, Tang Zheng is much better than him. It's just that you're looking at people through colored glasses and turning a blind eye to it. Isn't it just the top scorer of the college entrance examination? Ordinary people would think that the top scorer of the college entrance examination is amazing, but I've seen too many of them. They only know how to study and may not have much success in the future. I've seen many top scorers enter society and become mediocre. Governor Lu said disapprovingly, Can we not talk about this matter? I'm looking for you for business. Didn't you say today that you wanted to talk to Tian Shuji about something? Since you're free tonight, why don't you ask him out to talk about business? Lu Qingmei slyly winked as she suggested. Governor Lu was surprised. He looked at his daughter curiously and asked, Why did you think of this matter? I suddenly thought of it. You've never cared about my work before. Governor Lu looked at her like she was an alien. Can't I care about it now? Governor Lu was overjoyed. His daughter cared about his work. This meant that there was hope for the relationship between father and daughter to improve. Qingmei, I'm really happy. If you're happy, then why don't you go talk about business? Otherwise, who knows how many people will come to pay their New Year's greetings during the day. It's only at night that we can have some peace and quiet. It's the perfect time to talk about business. Presumably, Tian Shuji is also in the same situation. Governor Lu laughed. Good. Since my daughter has ordered, then of course I won't dare to disobey. I'll go to Tian Shuji's house right now. What are you going to do at his house? Isn't it better to go outside and find a quiet place? A home is a place to live, not an office. Governor Lu didn't suspect anything. He nodded happily and said, That makes sense. I'll go ask him out immediately. Then I'll go out and take a walk. Watching Lu Qingmei walk out of the house, Governor Lu smiled and muttered to himself, After all, my daughter has grown up and knows how to be considerate of me. For her happiness, I can't let her be with that student. Tomorrow's appointment with Old Yang is imperative. After she compares Xiaoyu and that student, she'll naturally know who's better and who's worse. Lu Qingmei came back. She was like a child who had presented a treasure. She hid in the shadows with Tang Zheng. She pointed to a house not far away and said, "Tian Shuji's house is there. Let's wait for a while. He'll leave the house and then we can take action." Tang Zheng curiously asked, "How did you do it?" Lu Qingmei proudly raised her head and proudly said, "I have my own plans." After pausing for a moment, she looked at Marshall and asked, "How did she come to your side?" She knew Marshall and knew that she came from the mysterious Marshall organization. She was the natural enemy of cultivators. Marshall heard this and glanced at her. She didn't say a word. It was as if she didn't put Lu Qingmei in her eyes. "She'll stay by my side for the time being. But don't worry about her. She's no longer a member of the Marshall organization, so she won't be a threat to us," Tang Zheng explained. Lu Qingmei seemed to understand, but she still didn't have a good expression. She tightly held onto Tang Zheng's hand and stared at the target building. She was both nervous and curious. Ever since she started cultivating, she hadn't had the chance to carry out a mission with Tang Zheng. So this was the first time she felt that it was fun and she was looking forward to it. She didn't know what kind of situation she would face later. "In the past, it was always him who protected me. This time I can help him. I'm really happy." She silently thought. After a moment, her expression suddenly became cold as she said, "Tian Shuji has left home." A person walked out, got into a car and left. "Move!" Chapter 564. In the darkness of the night, the three people quietly approached the target. The door was closed, but the light inside the building was still on, indicating that there must be someone inside. "Is there anyone else in the house?" Tang Jing asked. "Tian Shuji's family is not in Jade Sands. Other than him, there is also a housekeeper responsible for daily life." "Oh, that means that there is only the housekeeper and Qin Lao in the house. Everyone be careful. We will enter from the second floor and try not to alarm others," Tang Zheng warned. Lu Qingmei was eager to try. After cultivating for so long, this was the first time she put it into practice. Her adrenaline rapidly soared, making her extremely excited. Wu took the lead and jumped onto the second floor balcony as if he was walking on flat ground. Lu Qingmei followed suit and jumped. Her toes touched the wall, but she suddenly panicked and almost fell down. Tang Zheng's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast. He immediately hugged her and flew onto the balcony together. Lu Qingmei's face was red. She was full of confidence, but she did not think that such a simple action would cause her to almost drop the chain. Tang Zheng understood her mistake. Combining theory with practice was not something that could be accomplished in a short period of time. A little mistake was inevitable. Patting her shoulder, he comforted her with his eyes. Lu Qingmei's heart skipped a beat. She understood and was greatly encouraged. She firmly nodded her head, full of confidence. Tang Zheng brought her along this time not because he expected her to be of much help, but mainly to train her. After all, she may encounter danger in the future, so she shouldn't rush at the last minute. The three people entered the room. The room was pitch black, but with the help of the light from the window, they could vaguely distinguish everything in the room. They smoothly passed through the room and arrived at the corridor. Listening carefully, they heard a sound coming from the kitchen on the first floor. "Housekeeper." The three people slightly poked their heads out and saw the busy figure in the kitchen. "Which room is the target in?" Lu Qingmei asked in a low voice. Tang Zheng hesitated. There were a lot of rooms in this small building. If he searched them one by one, it would be easy to alert the enemy. If he let Qin Lao escape, it would not be easy to find him again. Suddenly, Tang Zheng saw the nanny come out of the kitchen with a tray and go straight to the second floor. "Be careful, go back to your room." The three of them immediately retreated into the dark room and quietly closed the door, leaving only a small gap. He saw the nanny carrying a tray into a room at the end of the second floor. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. The nanny was delivering supper to someone. Without a doubt, the person enjoying such treatment was definitely Qin Lao. After a while, The nanny left and went downstairs. The three of them came out again. "Go knock out the nanny so that she won't hear anything," Tang Zheng said to Marshall. I'll go. I can handle such a small matter." Lu Qingmei volunteered. Tang Zheng pondered for a moment and nodded. "Be careful. Don't let her see your face. Just knock her out. Don't take her life." "Don't worry. I promise to complete the task." Lu Qingmei gently patted her chest. She was full of confidence. After a moment, Lu Qingmei left. The nanny had already fainted on the sofa in the living room. Tang Zheng gave Lu Qingmei a thumbs up. Then, the three of them walked straight to the end of the corridor without making a sound. Dong dong. Tang Zheng gently knocked on the door. Just now, the nanny did this. Sure enough, Qin Lao's voice came from the room. "Come in." Tang Zheng casually opened the door and walked in. Qin Lao was eating supper. He subconsciously turned his head. He thought it was the nanny. But when he saw Tang Zheng and the other two, he was stunned. But his reaction was extremely fast. He immediately got up and rushed to the window. Qin Lao was not clear about what happened in the Lei Ming family. This was because he was not well informed in Yusha. When Lei Ming died, no one came to inform him. So he openly stayed in Tian Shuji's house. Moreover, he was in the mood to eat supper. Otherwise, if he knew that Tang Zheng came to Yusha and Lei Ming died, he would definitely leave Yusha and return to Beijing. These few days, he had already planned everything with Tian Shuji. He had two plans to deal with Tang Zheng. One was in the dark and the other was in the light. Lei Ming was in the dark, while Tian Shuji was in the light. Lei Ming gathered the underground world to retaliate against Tang Zheng. Tian Shuji used the government's policies and methods to deal a heavy blow to Tang Zheng's industry. With two approaches at the same time, it was guaranteed that Tang Zheng would be badly battered and suffer. Since Secretary Tian was a regional official, of course, he had his own backing. However, he didn't mind having the Song family as his backing. Moreover, the Song family's performance during this period was particularly eye-catching. Many people knew that the Song family was bound to rise and even surpass the Yan family. If they were to rely on them now, when the Song family soared in the future, they would be greatly benefited. It was not an extravagant hope for them to reach a higher level and enter the highest level of power in the country. Moreover, in Tian Shuji's view, Tang Zheng was insignificant. This was because the things that Tang Zheng did were very secretive. Ordinary people would not know the inside story, let alone his ability. When Qin Lao saw Tang Zheng, he knew that he did not come with good intentions. Since Tang Zheng dared to come here, he definitely did not come here to chat. He came here to kill. After experiencing the ordinary balance courtyard incident, Qin Lao had already recognized the cruel reality. Tang Zheng had risen in a short period of time and had completely surpassed him. He was able to kill the Chu family's patriarch not completely by luck. If he were to face him, he would definitely not be able to gain any advantage. Therefore, when Qin Lao saw Tang Zheng, he did not say anything and directly rushed to the window, preparing to escape. But how could Tang Zheng let him get what he wanted? He used the earth-shrinking technique and arrived first, blocking in front of the windowsill. The War Soul Sword directly greeted the other party. Qin Lao was aghast and hurriedly dodged. A cold light flashed in his hand and he also revealed his weapon. A long sword that shone with a cold light fiercely trembled. Like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue, it instantly blossomed into sword flowers and blocked in front of Battle Soul. Both of them were experts in using the sword. Old Man Qin had seen the sword technique of the famous sword god before, so he had a unique understanding of the way of the sword. Therefore, when he first saw Tang Zheng use the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, he knew that this sword technique was exceptionally exquisite. It even surpassed the sword technique that he had practiced for many years and coveted it. Now that he was fighting with Tang Zheng, he did not hold back at all and used all his skills. Qin Lao's sword technique was not very fast, but it was very accurate. Every move and every style was targeted, greeting Tang Zheng's vital points. How could Tang Zheng be afraid of him? In terms of the way of the sword, Qin Lao's sword technique was not even 1/10,000th of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique. Thus, when faced with Old Man Qin's attacks, Tang Zhang was able to deal with them with ease. Move by move, he counterattacked. Suddenly, the house was filled with sword images, and the sword wind was biting cold. The house suffered, as the roof and walls were riddled with holes, as if they had been chiseled by knives and axes. The furniture was also reduced to piles of debris. Marshall stared at Tang Zhang. A battle of this level was quite beneficial to her. If she had the chance, she could also comprehend a lot of essence, which would be of great benefit to her cultivation. She stood at the door, and the sharp sword wind disappeared without a trace in front of her, unable to hurt her in the slightest. Lu Qingmei was obviously not as calm as Marshall. Although she was also a cultivator, she rarely saw this kind of battle. Especially when it was so intense. If she was not careful, she would lose her life. The nervousness in her heart could be imagined. She clenched her fists tightly, and her palms were already sweating. Tang Zhang won't be in danger, right? Lu Qingmei probed in a low voice. Marshall glanced at her and did not say a word. Lu Qingmei curled her lips and thought to herself, "What are you being so arrogant for? I will definitely surpass you in the future." Moreover, a woman shamelessly followed by a man's side, who knew what she was up to. As a woman, she naturally did not want to see a woman following by her beloved's side. Moreover, this woman was not only skilled, but also very beautiful. This threat was too great. Unknowingly, Tang Zhang had already gradually gained the upper hand. The exquisiteness of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique was displayed incisively and vividly. This made Qin Lao realize that he had underestimated this sword technique. He was filled with regret. At that time, if he was not afraid of the master behind Tang Zhang, he would have killed this brat and seized this sword technique. Then, his cultivation would definitely have reached a higher level. How would he have suffered this calamity of killing a monk? "Tang Zhang, you really want to kill me?" Qin Lao unwillingly asked in a cold voice. "Since I am already here, if I don't take your life, wouldn't it be a waste of time? Moreover, Lei Ming and his son are already dead. They are waiting for you on the road to the Yellow Springs. Since you are conspiring to deal with me, then let's be companions on the road to the Yellow Springs," Tang Zhang said with killing intent. Qin Lao's heart trembled as he exclaimed, "You already killed them?" Tang Zhang coldly laughed and did not reply. However, the answer was beyond doubt. Qin Lao was filled with regret. When Lei Ming volunteered to deal with Tang Zhang, Qin Lao tacitly agreed. He even knew that the other side would not succeed. He only wanted to give Tang Zhang some trouble. However, he did not expect that Tang Zhang's reaction would be so fierce and so fast. He directly killed his way to Yusha. Not only did he take the lives of the father and son pair, he also did not want to let him go. "I am a member of the Song family. If you kill me, you will be in great trouble." Qin Lao repeated the same old words as he threatened. Tang Zhang disdainfully laughed and said, "I will kill you to show the Song family that I, Tang Zhang, am not to be trifled with. First, I will kill you, this old dog of the Song family. Then they will naturally know the pain." Qin Lao's face was deathly pale. This time he was definitely going to die. However, he was unwilling. Suddenly, he let out a loud roar. His long sword lit up with a bright light, just like the sun. His hair and beard stood up, and his wrinkled face suddenly flushed red. His entire body swelled up, and his bones crackled. In an instant, he actually grew a few centimeters taller. Holding the sword with both hands, the long sword's light greatly increased. It was as if the long sword had become longer and wider. A powerful sword wind rose from the ground and wrapped around the long sword. The momentum was shocking. "Kill!" Qin Lao roared. His body and the long sword seemed to become one as he charged towards Tang Zhang. The strong wind blew. Tang Zhang was like a small boat in the middle of a vast ocean. It was as if he would be torn to pieces by the strong wind at any time. Tang Zhang did not move. Instead, he quietly closed his eyes and stabbed out with his sword. It was very ordinary, like a child casually poking a tree branch. However, when the War Soul sword pierced into the strong wind was immediately torn apart. The two swords fiercely collided with each other. Kacha! The long sword was shattered. The War Soul sword went straight in. Poochie! Chapter 565. The War Soul sword pierced through Qin Lao's heart, and blood flowed out along the blade. Qin Lao's eyes instantly dimmed, his facial features twisted, almost squeezing together, and his face became as pale as paper. He lowered his head with difficulty, looked at his chest, and said in disbelief, "I actually died in the hands of a brat like you. This is you courting death. If you didn't come to ordinary balance, you old dog could still struggle at death's door for a few more days. However, don't worry, you go first. I will definitely send the Song family down to accompany you." Tang Zhang said calmly. Puff! Qin Lao spat out a mouthful of blood. His life was rapidly fading away. You still want to deal with the Song family, Tang Zhang, you will definitely die miserably. Young master and patriarch will not let you off. Qin Lao gnashed his teeth, weakly spitting out ruthless words. Tang Zhang chuckled. Then you should clearly see who will die and who will live in the end. With that, the War Soul sword pulled back, causing blood to spurt out, but it automatically fell in front of Tang Zhang, as if it was blocked by an invisible wall. Qin Lao's head tilted, and he completely lost his life, falling to the ground with a loud bang, blood flowing all over the ground. Lu Qingmei covered her mouth, resisting the urge to scream. Her legs went soft, and she hurriedly supported herself against the wall, not falling to the ground. Although she had already imagined the result, seeing the murder with her own eyes still made her heart skip a beat. After all, she was just an ordinary person before, and seeing this scene for the first time, anyone would have a process of adapting. Marshall was indifferent, but in her heart, she seemed to have understood something. These two people's cultivation was higher than hers, so seeing this life and death battle, she still had some gains. Tang Zhang, you killed him, what should we do now? Lu Qingmei asked in a daze. Tang Zhang held her hand and said, "Let's leave this place first. Tonight, the provincial committee courtyard will definitely be very lively." Lu Qingmei hurriedly nodded, eager to leave this place as soon as possible. There was no doubt that when Tian Shuji returned and saw this scene, he would definitely be furious and thoroughly investigate the murderer. Of course, no one would suspect Tang Zhang. Even if they did, they wouldn't have any evidence and couldn't do anything to him. "Let's go quickly. I'll drive," Lu Qingmei urged. The few of them left the small building without leaving any traces behind. Then, Lu Qingmei went home and drove her car. The three of them immediately left the courtyard of the provincial party committee. After a while, the security personnel who heard the fighting rushed into the building. When they saw the person lying in a pool of blood, they were scared out of their wits. This was the home of the secretary of the provincial party committee, the most powerful person in this place. Someone had died in his home. This was going to cause a big earthquake. Who knew how many people would lose their jobs because of this? Of course, Tang Zhang wouldn't care about these things. The three of them had already arrived at the 5-star hotel and booked 2 rooms. Just now, Lu Qingmei was trembling all the way. In the end, it was Tang Zhang who took over her driving and safely arrived at the hotel. Marshall was sent to the next room by Tang Zhang. Then, he helped Lu Qingmei to sit on a chair. He patted the back of her hand and comforted her. "Don't worry, you'll get used to it in the future." Lu Qingmei took a deep breath and stared at him in a daze. She nervously asked, "Am I very useless? So scared?" Caressing her cheek, Tang Zhang encouraged her. "Idiot, you are already very brave. You have always been a brave girl." I saw that she didn't have the slightest reaction just now. She was indifferent. I'm far inferior to her. Lu Qingmei pointed to the next room and said. Tang Zhang laughed out loud. "She is different from you. She has lived in this kind of circle since she was young, so she is already used to it." Seeing that the person she loved did not mind, Lu Qingmei squeezed out a smile and said, "I will definitely work hard in the future. I will definitely not be a burden to you. I will be your right-hand man. I will not let you take the risk alone. Tang Zheng felt warmth in his heart as he tightly hugged her in his arms. Lu Qingmei was as docile as a kitten as she laid in his arms. She raised her head and looked at his hard face. Her heart felt hot as she took the initiative to kiss him. After experiencing the thrilling scene just now, the fear in her heart vanished into thin air in this passionate kiss and transformed into endless passion. She became particularly proactive and soon sat on top of Tang Zheng. If it was Tang Zheng who was sitting on the chair, she passionately unbuttoned Tang Zheng's clothes. Tang Zheng was not to be outdone and fought back desperately. The temperature in the room quickly rose as the two met passionately. The chair creaked as if it could not bear the two's torture and was about to fall apart at any time. Ring, ring, ring. Suddenly, the phone rang. Your phone is ringing. Tang Zheng panted as he reminded her. Lu Qingmei breathed out like orchids. She hung on to Tang Zheng like a pile of mud and said, "Don't worry about the phone." But the phone seemed to want to waste time with them. After pausing for a few seconds, it rang again. Clearly, the other party had a persevering spirit. Who is calling? They really don't know how to pick the time. They really ruin a good thing. Tang Zheng cursed. Lu Qingmei also stopped what she was doing and looked at Tang Zheng with hidden bitterness. You answer it. Otherwise, if it keeps ringing, I will have a shadow in my heart when I do this in the future. Tang Zheng advised. Lu Qingmei could not help but laugh. She tapped the tip of Tang Zheng's nose and said, "Wait." She was about to pull away to get the phone. "I'll carry you there." He hugged her and the two were still intimately joined together. When they came to the phone on the bed, Tang Zheng mischievously moved his body a few times, causing her to cry out in alarm. She hugged his shoulders with all her strength and cooperated with his naughty actions. "Sure, it's my dad. Don't mess around." Lu Qingmei hurriedly restrained Tang Zheng and whispered. Seeing her cautious appearance, Tang Zheng could not help but smile and nod. "Hello, what's the matter?" Lu Qingmei took a deep breath and resisted the violent fluctuations in her heart. She pretended to be calm and asked, "Qingmei, where are you?" An anxious voice came from the phone. "I'm outside. I won't be going back to sleep tonight." How could Lu Qingmei let go of this opportunity to be alone with Tang Zheng? Not coming back? Then where are you going? I'm already an adult. How can I not find a place to rest? You don't need to ask. Qingmei, there was a murder in our courtyard tonight. A guest in Secretary Tian's house was killed, and the police are currently investigating, but they still don't know who the murderer is. These few days, Yusha isn't very peaceful, so you must be careful. If there's anything, give me a call. Also, remember the appointment tomorrow at noon. You can't let your Uncle Yang's family wait too long. When the time comes, we'll meet at the restaurant, so you must not forget. Didn't I tell you already? I won't go. Lu Qingmei impatiently said. I've already made an appointment with them. Moreover, Xiao Yu also wants to see you. Xiao Yu is very outstanding. You definitely won't be disappointed when you see him. Governor Lu sincerely said. Seeing her father pester her, Lu Qingmei looked at Tang Zheng and her heart moved. She said, Okay, I'll go when the time comes. Tang Zheng also heard the conversation and immediately guessed that her family was forcing her to go on a blind date. He could not help but wrinkle his eyebrows and deliberately straighten his body. Lu Qingmei let out a low cry of surprise and then quickly covered her mouth. She looked at Tang Zheng flirtatiously as if to say that he was too bad. Qingmei, what's wrong? Governor Lu heard the cry of surprise and quickly asked. Oh, nothing. I'll hang up first. Lu Qingmei resisted the waves of strange feeling and hung up the phone. She immediately hatefully stared at Tang Zheng and said, You actually played dirty. You almost caused me to be exposed. You're going on a blind date. Can't I express my opposition? Tang Zheng said. Lu Qingmei froze for a moment and then immediately let out a bell-like laughter. She blinked and mischievously asked, What, are you jealous? I'm jealous. Tang Zheng bluntly said. Lu Qingmei bit her lips. She was both surprised and pleasantly surprised as she said, I really didn't think that you would be jealous. But I'm very happy. Him being jealous means that he really likes her and cares about her. Of course, she would be very happy. Since you know that I'm going on a blind date, then aren't you afraid that I'll be seduced away by a handsome guy? Lu Qingmei deliberately asked. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and domineeringly said, You are my Tang Zheng's woman. If anyone dares to take you away, I will definitely chase them to the ends of the earth. Lu Qingmei charmingly smiled and angrily said, Rude and unreasonable. I am rude and unreasonable. Tonight, I will make sure that you won't have the heart to think about other handsome guys tomorrow. Tang Zheng's attack immediately became fierce like a storm. Lu Qingmei's screams immediately echoed in the room. When the sun was high in the sky, the two slowly woke up. Lu Qingmei laid on his chest and said, You really are bad. After sleeping, I still feel weak all over. Now you know how powerful I am. Let's see if you still dare to think about other handsome guys. Tang Zheng said with a face full of pride. I don't want to, but I can't stand my father introducing me to other handsome guys all day long. Since you are afraid that I will be taken away by other handsome guys, then accompany me to see a handsome guy today and help me give some advice. This was the idea that she had thought of last night. Since she was going on a blind date, then she would take Tang Zheng with her. This would make the other party give up and once again confirm her relationship with Tang Zheng in front of her father. In the past, Tang Zheng was just a fake boyfriend, a shield, but now he was worthy of the name. Tang Zheng agreed without hesitation. For his woman, of course, he had the obligation to drive away those annoying flies. However, he is an overseas returnee, very excellent. Lu Qingmei joked. So what if he is an overseas returnee? I have a sea turtle under my command. Tang Zheng disagreed. Gui Qiansui was a genuine sea turtle. You can rest assured that your man is excellent enough to blind their eyes. Good, I will wait and see. You blind their eyes. Lu Qingmei was eager to try. Near noon, the two arrived at the agreed restaurant. This time, Tang Zheng had a hard time persuading Wu not to follow them. Just now, along the way, there were many armed policemen patrolling the streets. It was obvious that yesterday's incident caused the entire city to be on high alert. Chapter 566. Tang Zheng and Lu Qingmei immediately saw this person. Lu Qingmei said in a low voice, He is Yang Xiaoyu. The Yang family and my family have been friends for generations. Back then, Uncle Yang and my father served in the army together and were comrades. What a handsome guy, Tang Zheng said with a smile. He couldn't help but blush with shame. Why were there so many handsome guys in the world? Someone like him who could only be considered delicate and pretty immediately paled in comparison. The young masters of the large families were like this, and even this Yang Xiaoyu was the same. Being handsome doesn't make a living. Moreover, I think you're much more handsome than him. Lu Qingmei held Tang Zheng's hand and said while looking at him with infatuation. Yang Xiaoyu saw Lu Qingmei and his face lit up with joy. He quickly walked over. Suddenly, his expression froze as he saw the two holding hands. However, he immediately returned to normal and walked over to greet them. Qingmei. Long time no see. I'm so happy to see you. You've become prettier again. As he spoke, he revealed a charming smile. Lu Qingmei calmly said, Yes, long time no see. Let me introduce you. This is Yang Xiaoyu and this is my boyfriend, Tang Zheng. Boyfriend? Although Yang Xiaoyu had already guessed a bit, when he personally heard these three words, a strange expression still flashed across his face. Lu Qingmei leaned on Tang Zheng's shoulder like a little bird and said, Yes, my boyfriend, friend. Yang Xiaoyu resentfully said, I really didn't think that you already had a boyfriend. Didn't Uncle Lu say that you were single? How could he know about my situation? Uncle Yang and the others must have been waiting for a long time. Let's go in first. Lu Qingmei secretly smiled proudly as she held Tang Zheng's hand and walked into the restaurant. Yang Xiaoyu's eyes flashed with disappointment as he unwillingly stared at Tang Zheng's back. He thought to himself that this person still looked very young and wasn't very handsome. Later on, I want to see just what kind of ability he has. Qing Mei might have been deceived by him. Later on, I will definitely expose his true face. When the three of them arrived at the private room, there were already 3 people sitting inside. Tang Zheng recognized Governor Lu. The other 2 middle-aged men had extraordinary bearings and resembled Yang Xiaoyu. They must be his parents. Governor Lu, 3 people, turned their heads to look, but their expressions suddenly froze. Father Yang and Mother Yang's faces showed suspicion. They did not know Tang Zheng's identity. Governor Lu obviously recognized Tang Zheng, and anger flashed in his eyes. He glared at his daughter in displeasure. What nonsense! She actually brought this Tang Zheng here. She was sincerely going against him. Uncle Yang, Auntie, Happy New Year. Lu Qingmei greeted them politely. The other party immediately smiled and said, Qingmei, long time no see. You're becoming more and more beautiful. Lu Qingmei smiled faintly. Thank you. Let me introduce him to everyone. Seeing that Lu Qingmei was about to introduce Tang Zheng, Governor Lu immediately realized what was going to happen. He quickly stood up and said, Qingmei, come with me. I have something to say to you. Without any explanation, he pulled Lu Qingmei and walked out. Sit down for a while, Lu Qingmei said to Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng smiled and nodded, indicating that he was fine. In the room, the 4 people looked at each other and the atmosphere immediately became awkward. Father Yang and Mother Yang were also smart people. From the way Lu Qingmei looked at Tang Zheng, they could already guess what was going on. They were all experienced people and naturally understood what those loving eyes meant. Yang Xiaoyu stared at Tang Zheng as if he wanted to see through him. Tang Zheng was calm and collected, completely unaffected by the other party's gaze. Yang Xiaoyu's gaze gradually became sharp. He thought that the more this person appears to be calm and indifferent, the more problems there must be. He must find a way to expose his disguise. Lu Qingmei was pulled to a corner by her father. Governor Lu looked at her seriously and asked, Qingmei, why did you bring him here? He's my boyfriend. Of course I can bring him here. Lu Qingmei lightly said, Nonsense. How many times have I told you? He's your student. Don't use him as a shield to anger me. Who said he's a shield? He's my boyfriend. My real boyfriend. Lu Qingmei's expression became cold as she seriously said. Governor Lu suddenly stared blankly. Before, he could be sure that the 2 were deliberately mystifying and deceiving him. But at this moment, looking at his daughter's resolute and serious eyes, he knew that she was not lying. This meant that the 2 of them really did become real. The thing he was most worried about had happened. In truth, he had never put Tang Zheng in his eyes before. He thought that after the 2 of them were separated for a period of time, everything would naturally fade away. But how did the 2 of them get together again? It had only been half a year, so what exactly happened that caused the relationship between the 2 of them to advance by leaps and bounds? I don't care what kind of bewitching potion that little brat gave you. In any case, there is absolutely no possibility between the 2 of you. I will not agree to this matter. Governor Lu resolutely said. Lu Qingmei curled her lips. She looked at him with ridicule and said, This is my own matter. Even if you are the head of a province, even if you have great power, you have no right to interfere. You! Governor Lu's face was red with anger. He gasped for breath. In short, that little brat is not worthy of you. I will let him understand the gap between you and him. Is that so? You really think your daughter is that outstanding? Of course. I'm afraid it's not that he is not worthy of me. It's that I am not worthy of him. He is much more outstanding than you can imagine. He is thousands of times more outstanding than the so-called young elites in your eyes. Lu Qingmei jokingly said. How could Governor Lu believe her words? He gave a heavy snort and decided that he would make Tang Zheng eat a loss and make him recognize reality. Let's go back. Otherwise we'll keep them waiting. Lu Qingmei walked towards the private room with large strides. Governor Lu's face was gloomy as he followed behind her. The private room was completely silent. The 3 people from the Yang family were all silently observing Tang Zheng. trying to figure out his origins. Lu Qingmei naturally sat beside Tang Zheng. Governor Lu suppressed his anger and did not release it. But in the next moment, Lu Qingmei's words made him seethe with anger. He only heard Lu Qingmei smile at the Yang family couple and say, "Uncle Yang, Auntie, I haven't finished introducing you. This is my boyfriend, Tang Zheng." The other party's face immediately flashed with embarrassment. Lu Qingmei saying this meant that her attitude was very firm. That meant that this blind date was a joke and the other party was already taken. Little Tang, where do you work?" Father Yang resisted the awkwardness and asked, "I'm still a student. I don't have a job." "Student?" Father Yang was stunned for a moment. "Oh, then where are you studying for a doctorate?" "Doctorate?" Tang Zheng was slightly stunned. He immediately understood that the other party did not think of him as an undergraduate at all. But he did not want to hide it. He calmly said, "I'm still a freshman." "Freshman?" The three people from the Yang family all exclaimed at the same time. Because Lu Qingmei had already graduated from college, they preconceived that Tang Zheng was definitely not young. But they never thought that he was still a freshman. The age gap between the two was too big. Yang Xiaoyu's face was filled with joy. He was even more certain that Lu Qingmei had been deceived by Tang Zheng. What ability did a freshman have to gain Lu Qingmei's trust? It must be known that Lu Qingmei was not a teenage girl. Other than deceiving, he really could not think of any good points about Tang Zheng that could move Lu Qingmei. But Father Yang did not have such shallow thoughts. He was a businessman and had seen many people. From the first time he saw Tang Zheng, he felt a trace of an unusual temperament from him. He did not seem like a freshman at all. This strong contrast made him frown. He suspiciously looked at Tang Zheng. He really could not guess Tang Zheng's background. Yang Xiaoyu, however, thought that his opportunity had come. He proudly said, "I've seen many freshmen who are ignorant and incompetent all day long. They only know how to talk big and are especially good at deceiving girls." When Lu Qingmei heard this, she immediately frowned. These words were too obvious. Tang Zheng squeezed her hand and signaled her to calm down. He said with a smile, "Yes, this kind of student is really too hateful. But I don't have such a person around me. It seems that you have a lot of experience. Could it be that, when you were a freshman?" Yang Xiaoyu was furious. He stood up and asked, "What do you mean?" "Oh, nothing. Since you brought this topic up, I'll discuss it with you." Tang Zheng shrugged and said motionlessly, "Xiaoyu, sit down." Father Yang reprimanded in a low voice. His son's life abroad was too leisurely. He was actually angered by a few words. Compared to this Tang Zheng, his shrewdness was obviously too shallow. Lu Qingmei secretly gave Tang Zheng a thumbs up. Flowers were blooming in her heart. "Since you look down on my boyfriend, then I'll let you know how powerful he is today." Lu Qingmei suddenly felt a sense of excitement. "Qingmei, he's also the #1 student. How did you meet him?" Mother Yang saw her son being deflated and hurriedly interjected. Lu Qingmei foolishly looked at Tang Zheng and said, "He was my student in high school. A teacher-student relationship. Moreover, it was a female teacher and a male student. It was even rarer than a male teacher and a female student. After all, the age gap between men and women was not small." Governor Lu suddenly had the urge to find a hole to hide in. Fortunately, Father Yang was an old friend of many years. If his colleagues in the government knew that his daughter found a student younger than her as a boyfriend, then wouldn't he be an old cow eating young grass? Where would he put his old face? He couldn't help but inwardly sigh at the misfortune of his family. The three members of the Yang family were greatly shocked by this news. Yang Xiaoyu's eyes revealed an undisguised anger and slight frown. Yang Xiaoyu's father originally thought that Tang Zheng's identity was not simple, but after knowing that he was Lu Qingmei's student, this guess disappeared like smoke into thin air. This was because he knew where Lu Qingmei used to teach. Although most of the students in that school were rich, the level of those rich people was still too low in his eyes. Chapter 567. When the dishes were placed on the table, everyone's wine glasses were filled and they each drank a cup. Father Yang smiled mysteriously and winked at his son, saying, Xiaoyu, didn't you bring back a gift for Qingmei? Why aren't you taking it out? Yang Xiaoyu understood and hurriedly picked up a beautifully wrapped gift box from the side. He arrogantly glanced at Tang Zhang with a proud smile and said, Qingmei, this is a New Year's gift that I specially bought for you. I hope you like it. Governor Lu saw this and smiled knowingly, praising, Xiaoyu, you're too thoughtful. Qingmei, why aren't you thanking Xiaoyu? Lu Qingmei wrinkled her brows and looked at Tang Zhang before shaking her head. I'm sorry, I can't accept it. Yang Xiaoyu's expression slightly changed but quickly returned to normal and said, Qingmei, I specially chose this for you. I'm sure you'll like it. That's right, this is Xiaoyu's kind intentions. Qingmei, just accept it. Mother Yang also supported her son. Qingmei, how can you be so rude? Why aren't you thanking Xiaoyu? Governor Lu said with an unhappy expression. Lu Qingmei snorted and remained unmoved. She pouted in a fit of pique and immediately fell into an impasse. Tang Zheng gently drank a mouthful of soup and raised his head. He glanced at the gift box and calmly said, Since you don't want it, then don't take it. Lu Qingmei was his woman and no one could force her to accept something she didn't like. Hearing these words, Lu Qingmei's eyebrows danced in delight, but the other people's expressions greatly changed. Governor Lu stared hatefully at Tang Zheng. This little brat really doesn't know what's good for him. Letting you sit here and eat is already giving you face, yet you still dare to mess around. This is too much. However, due to his dignity as an elder, he didn't directly scold him and restrained himself. Yang Xiaoyu, on the other hand, didn't have the same temperament and immediately exploded. Brat, what is the meaning of this? This is my gift to Qingmei. Who are you to tell her what to do? Tang Zheng glanced at him indifferently. He didn't like this Yang Xiaoyu from the start. This person was too arrogant and acted as if everyone else should be a head lower than him. This was the style of many nouveau riches. He could flaunt his strength in front of others, but if he wanted to do so in front of Tang Zheng and even have designs on his woman, then he really made a mistake. Before Tang Zheng could retaliate, Lu Qingmei had already impatiently retaliated. She couldn't bear to see her beloved being looked down upon and provoked like this. She immediately glared at Yang Xiaoyu and said, Yang Xiaoyu, what kind of attitude is this? Tang Zheng is my boyfriend, he has a name, not some brat, and my boyfriend has the right to decide whether or not I accept other people's gifts. Yang Xiaoyu was suddenly startled, as if he had been hit by an invisible fist. His face turned red as he indignantly said, Qingmei, don't be fooled by his flowery words. I know what to do. I don't need you to remind me. Lu Qingmei unhappily said. Tang Zheng looked at Yang Xiaoyu with ridicule and of course held Lu Qingmei's hand and said, Qingmei, it's not worth getting angry with this kind of person. Don't be angry and hurt your body. Let's eat. You don't say, the food here is pretty good. His appearance was like a spineless foodie who only cared about the taste of the food at this critical moment. However, Lu Qingmei understood Tang Zheng's thoughts. He wasn't afraid of Yang Xiaoyu. Even if there were hundreds of Yang Xiaoyu, he wouldn't be afraid. He was just worried about the relationship between the Lu and Yang families and didn't want to make the atmosphere too awkward. But Yang Xiaoyu clearly didn't appreciate it. He placed the gift in front of Lu Qingmei and said, Qingmei, this gift is the latest handbag from LV this year. It's a global limited edition. Many socialites use this. I specially chose this for you, unlike other people who can't even bear to give a New Year's gift. Without a doubt, this kind of luxury was the favorite of many women. But Yang Xiaoyu really didn't understand Lu Qingmei. This kind of nouveau riche-style gift couldn't arouse her interest at all. Instead, it made her feel disgusted. Tang Zheng's expression was calm. He wasn't angry at all because of these words, but the other person reminded him that as Lu Qingmei's man, he really didn't give her a New Year's gift. This was really a bit of a dereliction of duty. You're right. I really didn't prepare a gift for Qingmei. When we go back, I'll have to put in some effort to choose a gift. Tang Zheng looked at Lu Qingmei apologetically and said. Lu Qingmei's heart warmed. She held his hand and sweetly said, "No matter what you give, I'll like it." This was a public display of affection and a brazen slap in the face. She firmly rejected Yang Xiaoyu's gift, but gladly accepted Tang Zheng's gift. The difference in treatment was too big. Yang Xiaoyu felt like he had been ruthlessly slapped in the face. He said with a red face, "Qing Mei, don't listen to his bragging. He's just a student. What kind of gift can he give you? My gift is worth hundreds of thousands. It's 1,000,000 times better than his." "Is hundreds of thousands very valuable? This is the jade bracelet he gave me. It's 1,000,000 times more valuable than yours." Lu Qingmei raised her hand and a sparkling and translucent jade bracelet slid out. This bracelet, whether it was jade or jade, was of the highest quality. If it was auctioned, it would definitely be worth several million. Everyone present was either rich or noble, so they naturally had some understanding of the hot jade market. Mother Yang was especially passionate about it. Normally, the rich ladies would often study and learn from each other. With a single glance, they could tell that this was a top-quality item. Suddenly, there was complete silence. Everyone looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. No one would believe that a student could so easily give out a gift worth over 1,000,000. Even Yang Xiaoyu didn't have such a large amount of money. Especially since Governor Lu knew about Tang Zheng's family situation, he felt that it was a fantasy. In fact, this jade bracelet's original quality was not so good. However, after Tang Zheng refined it, it was reborn and had such an extraordinary quality. In the beginning, when Tang Zheng refined these jade items, they did not have this additional effect. It was only after his cultivation had greatly increased that he was able to refine them. Now, the jade items he refined were not as simple as simply engraving a set of arrays into them. Through the meticulous refining of the 9 revolving alchemy furnace, the material was reborn and the defensive power of these jade items was increased. This was also because when Tian Chanzi passed on the refining method to Tang Zheng, he figured it out. However, these jade items could not be considered magic weapons. They only had a little bit of Fa Li. However, this was only temporary. Tang Zheng had already decided that in the future, he would diligently study the refining technique and refine enough magic weapons to equip the people around him. Now, he already had a lot of cultivators around him, but there were too few suitable magic weapons. Without magic weapons, the strength of the cultivators would be greatly reduced. In addition, the value of this jade bracelet had far exceeded the value of the jade itself. It was far from being something that could be bought with just a few million yuan. This was what the people opposite him didn't understand. In the private room, the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The atmosphere was extremely awkward. Governor Lu hurriedly restrained his shocked expression. He coughed and broke the silence. Come, let's drink." Yang Xiaoyu took advantage of the situation and unwillingly put away the gift. He couldn't wait to immediately throw this bag into the smelly ditch. What luxury, it was just a F*king waste. He fiercely glared at Tang Zheng, but saw the two of them looking at each other and smiling intimately. They didn't put him in their eyes at all. He couldn't help but burn with jealousy. His pupils seemed to be about to spit out fire. Father Yang was also a smart person. He didn't want to be entangled with the gift issue. He hurriedly called for them to drink. "Tang Zheng, come, let's drink a few cups." He was prepared to get Tang Zheng drunk and let him make a fool of himself in front of Lu Qingmei. He even wanted to say nonsense and reveal his true colors. Father Yang thought that after being in the business world for so many years, he could easily win against this young man in drinking. Yang Xiaoyu obviously guessed his father's thoughts. He smiled sinisterly and raised his wine cup. "Yes, how can we not drink during the new year? Tang Zheng, don't tell me you don't dare to drink?" Provocation. He didn't believe that Tang Zheng wouldn't fall for it. Sure enough, Tang Zheng raised his wine cup and said, "Okay, but I'll toast to Uncle Lu first." In Tang Zheng's eyes, the 3 people of the Yang family were insignificant. However, he didn't want to neglect Lu Qingmei's father. His grandfather had taught him to respect the old and love the young since he was young. Governor Lu looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. It seemed that after half a year, he couldn't see through this young man anymore. His eyes were so deep, and the temperament that occasionally leaked out made him, a superior, couldn't help but be moved. However, these were all insignificant. If Tang Zheng dared to have ideas about his daughter, then he would make a fool of himself. Governor Liu also saw through Father Yang's thoughts, but he didn't point it out. This was because his goal was the same as the other parties. He wanted to expose Tang Zheng's true colors and let his daughter know that she was wrong. Okay, but young people are the future of the motherland. How can 1 cup be enough? 3 cups, Governor Liu said. Tang Zheng's expression didn't change as he lightly nodded. Then we'll do as Uncle Liu says. After each of them drank 3 cups, the 2 of them didn't have any reaction. Governor Liu was testing them with alcohol, so of course he wouldn't have any reaction. These 300 cups were equivalent to 200 grams of white wine, and they drank it so quickly. However, Tang Zheng didn't have any reaction, which meant that his alcohol tolerance wasn't low. But this didn't matter. So what if he had a high alcohol tolerance? He would still be defeated in a tag team battle. As a result, the 3 people of the Yang family began a tag team battle. Even Mother Yang personally participated in the battle for her son's happiness. Lu Qingmei was originally going to stop them, but when she saw the faint smile on Tang Zheng's face, she knew that he was fine and didn't say anything. Since you want to trick Tang Zheng, then let's see who wins and who loses. The father and daughter of the Liu family watched as the 4 people drank cup after cup of white wine. The table was already filled with empty wine bottles. Tang Zheng's expression didn't change, but the faces of the 3 people in front of him were already as red as peach blossoms. Mother Yang was already lying on the table, and Yang Xiaoyu was swaying as if he was sitting on a boat. His tongue had also become big, and he was actually wantonly bragging about his experiences in the Western Empire, especially the glorious deeds of shuttling through the many Western beauties. Father Yang still had a bit of a wolf left in him. When he heard his son's drunken words, he inwardly cursed and looked across the table. Sure enough, Governor Liu's face was already dark. Father Yang hurriedly pulled his son back, wanting to stop him, but Yang Xiaoyu continued to boast shamelessly, "Dad, let me say it. I want to let this brat know how powerful I am. Qingmei is mine. Who does he think he is? He wants to steal my woman? Dream on." As he spoke, his body swayed and fell back, bringing Father Yang with him to the ground. Governor Liu was flabbergasted. Lu Qingmei heartlessly laughed and affectionately held onto Tang Zheng's arm. Tang Zheng gently put down his wine glass and lightly said, "You're drunk so quickly? You're too weak." Chapter 568. Father Yang awkwardly stood up and helped his son into a chair before he awkwardly explained, "Don't listen to his nonsense. Xiaoyu is good at everything, but he likes to boast a little." Nonsense? But no one believed it. This was the real truth after drinking. Father Yang originally wanted to let Tang Zheng fall for it, but in the end, his son fell for it. He was really lifting a rock and smashing his own foot. Although Governor Liu's face was dark, it wasn't a big deal for a young man to be a little more open. After all, who hasn't been young before? This wasn't a fatal weakness. Father Yang and Governor Liu were well aware of this, so they didn't think that Yang Xiaoyu would be eliminated because of this. They just felt a little embarrassed. Only Lu Qingmei was the happiest. This Yang Xiaoyu looked like a decent person, but she didn't expect that his private life would be so licentious. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Bang! Suddenly, the door was pushed open, dispelling the awkwardness. Several police officers were standing at the door, and the person leading them was surprisingly Commissioner Hong, who had met Tang Zheng once at the Lei family's residence. When Bureau Chief Hong saw Tang Zheng, his pupils couldn't help but shrink. He immediately took out his pistol and aimed it at Tang Zheng. The others also did the same thing. One by one, the black muzzles were aimed at Tang Zheng. It was as if he made the slightest move, they would not hesitate to pull the trigger at the same time. The people in the room immediately froze. Lu Qingmei subconsciously thought that the incident last night must have been exposed, and the police must be here to arrest Tang Zheng. She stood up without hesitation and stood in front of Tang Zheng, looking at the people who came in with vigilance, like a tigress protecting her cub. Father Yang immediately sobered up a little and looked at the scene in shock. Governor Lu recognized Bureau Chief Hong, but he did not stand up. His mind was racing as he wondered why the police were here. Moreover, they had raised their guns as soon as they opened the door. This hostile atmosphere was not normal. Could it be that the enemy was targeting him? But he was the head of a province. Other than Tian Shuji, who would dare to go against him? Governor Lu's heart trembled. Wasn't Commissioner Hong one of Tian Shuji's men? Could this really be a plot against him? However, he didn't panic and asked calmly, "Old Hong, what are you doing?" Commissioner Hong's attention was completely focused on Tang Zheng from the moment he entered the door. He didn't notice the Governor Lu sitting next to him at all. When he heard this familiar voice, he was stunned for a moment. He quickly looked to the side and was shocked. It really was Governor Lu. He asked in a panic, "Governor Lu, why are you here?" Governor Lu asked with a serious expression, "Why can't I be here?" Commissioner Hong knew that he had asked the wrong question and quickly explained, "Governor Lu, we were ordered to arrest Tang Zheng. You and him." Commissioner Hong's throat was dry. He was really King unlucky. Why was Tang Zheng with Governor Lu? Could it be that yesterday's incident had something to do with Governor Lu? If that was the case, then it would be a fight between the higher-ups. If he got involved, then he might not even have his bones left. This pool of water was too deep. "You are here to arrest Tang Zheng?" Governor Lu and Father Yang both frowned. Wasn't Tang Zheng just a student? Why were the police mobilizing so many people as if they were facing a great enemy? It didn't seem like they were here to arrest a student. It was more like they were dealing with a murderer. Father Yang's mouth curved into a smile. This was really a turn of events. Governor Lu became serious. This situation didn't make sense at all. Could it be that this was a plot against him? People in the officialdom had to be careful at every step. It was better to be safe than sorry, so he couldn't be careless at all times. "You want to arrest him? What's the matter?" Commissioner Hong hesitated for a moment, but still said truthfully, "He killed someone." "Killed someone?" Governor Lu was shocked. He is still a student. How could he kill someone? Commissioner Hong really had the urge to find a hole to hide in. But in the face of the governor's questioning, he could only continue to say, "He killed Lei Ming and his son, as well as Tian Shuji's guests." When Governor Lu heard this, his eyes widened. He also heard a little about yesterday's incident, especially the murder case of Tian Shuji, which cast a shadow over the entire provincial party committee's compound. Many people were talking about it. He was also guessing who was so fierce that he dared to kill Tian Shuji's family. This person was too bold. Last night, he also specially called Tian Shuji to ask about it. But he didn't interfere in this matter. After all, this might involve Tian Shuji's private affairs. It would be taboo to ask too much. Tian Shuji and he were the second in command of the province. They appeared to be united, but were divided at heart. There was a lot of friction between them, but they were all controlled to a certain extent. Secretary Tian was a local tyrant. He was a local who had climbed up the ranks step by step. On the other hand, Governor Lu was an airborne tyrant. Airborne tyrants did not have as many resources as local tyrants. However, in the past few years, he had been diligent in his governance and had made the situation turn for the better. Many cadres had been recruited by him, which showed his willpower and strength. When Governor Lu heard that Tang Zheng killed these people, he subconsciously thought that it must be a conspiracy against him. Moreover, arresting people in front of him was completely to force him to be on the same side with Tang Zheng. It would make people think that all of this was ordered by him. Even if yellow mud fell from the crotch of one's pants, it was still shit. If the leaders above knew that he ordered others to commit murder, this kind of means would be the most taboo in the officialdom. In the struggle for power, there were back and forth, and there were open spears and hidden arrows. This was the rule of the game. But if someone wanted to assassinate someone, it would be breaking the rules and would be kicked out. Governor Lu's nerves immediately tensed up. His eyes were shining. He stared at Commissioner Hong and asked in a deep voice, "Do you have evidence?" "Yes, we are all witnesses." Commissioner Hong pointed to himself and then to the subordinates beside him. "We saw him kill Lei Ming with our own eyes yesterday." At this point, it was useless to deny it, so Commissioner Hong simply admitted it. Hiss! Governor Lu really wanted to suck in a breath of cold air. With so many witnesses, it was a done deal. Could it be that Tang Zheng really killed Lei Ming and his son? Was this a conspiracy? He was just a student. How could he kill people? Was someone trying to frame him? But he killed people. How could he act as if nothing had happened? This was too abnormal. Oh no, could it be that he deliberately got close to Qingmei and then got involved with me before killing people? This is equivalent to dragging me down with him. He didn't dare to think about it anymore. If it was really like this, then all of this was a big plot. It started with his daughter and then led him step by step to jump into it. Killing Lei Ming was considered a small matter. The key was that he killed Tian Shuji's guest. This was a big matter. Could be said that Tang Zheng originally wanted to kill Tian Shuji, but he just killed the guest by mistake. Or his target was the guest. He had asked Tian Shuji out to talk about business last night. Didn't this give him a great opportunity to make his move? Therefore, it could be said that he was cooperating with Tang Zheng to commit murder. Moreover, last night, wasn't it his daughter who suggested that he ask Tian Shuji out? This was definitely Tang Zheng's idea. Shua! Governor Lu's back immediately broke out in a cold sweat. His hands under the table couldn't help but tremble. He thought that this was definitely a conspiracy. A huge conspiracy. Who knew how long this had been planned? It was too vicious. He suddenly turned his head to look at Tang Zheng. He saw that his face was expressionless and extremely calm. If a normal person were to face this kind of situation, they would have already pissed their pants. However, he was completely unaffected. This was too abnormal. There was only one explanation, and that was that he was the one who set this up. He knew that this was all a conspiracy, so he had nothing to fear. Such a ruthless heart at such a young age. Governor Lu felt that Tang Zheng was like a poisonous snake that was currently spitting out its scarlet tongue. He grabbed his daughter and pulled her to his side, then protected her. He gnashed his teeth as he looked at Tang Zheng and said, "Tang Zheng, I never thought that you would be so sinister." Tang Zheng froze for a moment. He didn't know what Governor Lu's words meant and was at a loss for what to do. "Stop acting," Governor Lu angrily shouted. Lu Qingmei looked at her father in confusion and said, "What are you saying? Don't listen to their nonsense." "Qingmei, don't say anything. I'll handle this," Governor Lu solemnly said. Lu Qingmei fiercely broke free from her father's hand and grabbed onto Tang Zheng's arm. She glared at the group of police and said, "With me here, no one can take him away." Commissioner Hong awkwardly looked at Governor Lu. The governor's daughter was stopping him, so what should he do? He scratched his head but couldn't think of a way. He could only be a yes man and tremble as he said, "Governor Lu, this is an order personally issued by Tian Shuji." Governor Lu's entire body seemed to have been drained of energy. Since it was personally issued by Tian Shuji, then it was possible that the mastermind was him. This was directly cutting off his political life. How ruthless. If he protected Tang Zheng, then the other's plot would be even more complete and he would be even more suspicious. As a result, he immediately stood up and said without hesitation, "No matter who it is, if they violate the law, then they must be severely punished. Arrest them." Commissioner Hong acted as if he had been granted amnesty. As long as Governor Lu didn't interfere, then everything would be easy to handle. This time he came prepared. No matter how powerful Tang Zheng was, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he had wings. "I want to see who dares." Lu Qingmei angrily roared as she protected Tang Zheng. Commissioner Hong and the others immediately stopped and looked awkwardly at Governor Lu. Governor Lu's heart was as cold as ice. His silly daughter still didn't know that she had been deceived. The more she resisted, the more she would fall into the other's trap. He made a prompt decision and shouted, "Arrest them! Tang Zhang, we all know that you are very powerful. If you want to resist, you can try. Look outside the window." Commissioner Hong was afraid that Tang Zhang would explode and hurt people, so he threatened. Tang Zhang walked to the window. The street was already blocked by the armed police. There were also snipers on the distant buildings. Clearly, they were guarding against him in case he resisted and escaped. Tang Zhang chuckled. "They are really well prepared. Of course, so you should obediently allow yourself to be arrested." Commissioner Hong said proudly, "Tang Zhang, let's rush out. They don't have good intentions." Lu Qingmei said in a low voice. He knew that Tang Zhang was indeed related to this matter, so he was afraid that he would be tortured or even locked up after being caught. As the saying goes, concern leads to confusion. How could there be a prison in this world that could hold Tang Zhang? Tang Zhang smiled and patted her hand, saying, "This must be a misunderstanding. Since they want to catch me, then I will accompany them." Seeing that Tang Zhang was full of confidence, Lu Qingmei was startled. She knew that he would never fight a battle that he wasn't confident in, so he definitely wouldn't shoot without thinking. Chapter 569. Tang Zhang was brought out of the restaurant. The restaurant had already been cleared out and was filled with special police officers. Tang Zhang leisurely got into the police car and sped away. Lu Qingmei immediately said to her father, who had an uncertain expression on his face, "You must save Tang Zhang." Governor Lu declined to comment. After greeting Father Zhao, he dragged his daughter and left. After a while, when he returned home, he let out a long sigh. He solemnly looked at his daughter and said, "Qingmei, don't get involved in this matter. The water is too deep." Lu Qingmei was at a loss and asked, "What water is too deep?" "I suspect that Tang Zhang is a chess piece sent by someone to frame me. You have been tricked by him." Governor Lu hatefully said. The opponent was too cunning. Lu Qingmei was slightly startled. She immediately shook her head like a rattled drum and denied, "You misunderstood. Tang Zhang did not trick me. This is not a conspiracy. You have fallen too deep. You are unable to see the bigger picture. But don't worry. Using this kind of conspiracy to deal with me is too simple. You must stay home for the time being. You cannot go anywhere." "No, I have to go find Tang Zhang. The police have caught him. What if they interrogate him?" Lu Qingmei stubbornly said. "Are you trying to anger me to death? This is all a conspiracy. The enemy is using Tang Zhang and you to deal with me. The political world is dangerous. You don't understand. I will go back to the study first." Governor Lu quickly went back to the study to prepare a countermeasure. Lu Qingmei bit her lips. Her eyes kept changing. Suddenly, she angrily stomped her feet and left the house. At the same time, the atmosphere in the provincial party committee's courtyard was strange. There were many armed police patrolling the courtyard, paying attention to every detail. In particular, Tian Shuji's house was surrounded by many mobile sentries and snipers in the dark to guard against possible attacks. Tian Shuji sat in his study while Commissioner Hong stood respectfully in front of him and reported the details of the arrest. When he heard that Governor Lu and Tang Zhang knew each other and even had a meal together, his eyelids twitched violently a few times and a complicated look flashed in his eyes. Seeing his reaction, Commissioner Hong's heart violently trembled a few times. He pretended to be calm and asked, "Tian Shuji, then how do we deal with Tang Zhang?" Tian Shuji pondered for a moment and said, "Deal with it strictly according to the law." "Yes, but that kid is very tight-lipped. He didn't say a word when he was in the police station. He became a mute." Commissioner Hong said awkwardly. Tian Shuji's expression turned cold as he said, "Are you police officers incompetent? If the suspect doesn't confess, you can't do anything? Moreover, you saw the crime with your own eyes. Could it be fake?" "It's definitely not fake. It's absolutely true," Commissioner Hong hurriedly guaranteed. Then think of a way to convict him and make it an ironclad case. Yes. Commissioner Hong understood. But what about Governor Liu? Tian Shuji glared at him and said, Governor Liu is a man of principle. Why would he protect a criminal? Understood. Commissioner Hong left and only Tian Shuji was left in the study. His expression suddenly changed and he muttered to himself. Last night he asked me out to talk about something. During that time, Qin Lao was assassinated. If he had nothing to do with this matter, then wouldn't it be too much of a coincidence? He was worried that I would get in touch with the Song family, so he would rather hire someone to kill me than let me succeed? Humph, you really think that you can compete with me just because you've been doing well these past few days and gathered a group of officials? You're thinking too simply. Qin Lao is dead and I can't absolve myself from the blame. But as long as I punish the murderer and push the blame to you, causing you to get involved with the powerful Song family, then I won't have to do anything. You'll have to suffer the consequences. Moreover, I can still get in touch with the Song family. It's not impossible for me to go further in the future. After sorting out his emotions, Tian Shuji took a deep breath and dialed a number. This number was given to him by Qin Lao. It was the number of the young master of the Song family, Song Yu. After a few beeps, the call went through. Hello, is this young master Song? Tian Shuji asked. It's me. Who are you? Why do you have my number? Song Yu's cold voice sounded. Hello, young master Song. I'm Tian Jiayuan. It was Qin Lao who gave me this number. Song Yu immediately remembered who this person was. He smiled and said, So it's Tian Shuji. I've heard a lot about you. Qin Lao is working at your place. Tian Shuji, please take care of him. Tian Shuji smiled bitterly in his heart. He's already dead. How can I take care of him? He hurriedly said, Young Master Song, I've neglected my duty. Qin Lao was assassinated at my humble home last night. Qin Lao is dead? Song Yu was shocked. His voice suddenly rose a few octaves. How is that possible? Qin Lao was a Xiantian martial artist. How could an ordinary assassin be his opponent? It's absolutely true. The murderer is called Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng. Song Yu's heart violently beat a few times. In Yusha, the only one who had the ability and courage to kill Qin Lao was Tang Zheng. He originally sent Qin Lao to take drastic measures to disrupt Tang Zheng's base camp. However, he didn't expect him to die so quickly. This was a slap in the face. Song Yu's breathing involuntarily quickened. Tang Zheng, you're really good. However, Song Yu did not lose his wolf, as Tang Zheng's actions were clearly a warning to the Song family. To kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Song Yu was a smart person. He thought for a moment and understood the deeper meaning. Kaka. He clenched his fist non-stop. He couldn't wait to smash Tang Zheng into meat paste. Seeing that the other party didn't respond, Tian Shuji said, We've already caught the murderer. However, I suspect that he's not the main culprit. There's someone else behind him. This person is most likely Liu Jiangqion. Liu Jiangqion? Song Yu was stunned for a moment. He instantly denied this judgment. This matter had nothing to do with Liu Jiangqion. Yes. When Qin Lao was killed, he deliberately asked me out to talk about something to create an opportunity for the assassin. Song Yu frowned. This Liu Jiangqion certainly wasn't the main culprit. However, according to Tian Jiayuan, Liu Jiangqion might not be unrelated to this matter. Song Yu couldn't do anything to Tang Zheng for the time being, but dealing with Liu Jiangqion wasn't a problem. I understand. Someone will be responsible for this. Tian Shuji was overjoyed and said, The murderer, Tang Zheng, we will not let him go. He will definitely be severely punished by the law. Song Yu disagreed in his heart. How could Tang Zheng be so easy to deal with? Since you want to deal with him, then go ahead. He didn't say much and directly hung up the phone. Tian Shuji was overjoyed. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and turned a disaster into a happy event. This was enough for Liu Jiangqion to drink a pot of wine. Liu Qingmei found Marshall and told her about Tang Zheng's capture. He anxiously said, Tang Zheng will definitely be tortured if he is captured. We have to think of a way to save him. Marshall remained calm and collected. He thought to himself that it would be better to let him suffer a bit so that he wouldn't bite the hand that feeds him. If he really didn't want to be caught, how could the police catch him? Marshall was not too worried. As long as it was not another powerful martial artist or cultivator that dealt with Tang Zheng, he would be able to handle it with ease and would not be in any danger to his life. Lu Qingmei preemptively said, "Maybe he was afraid of implicating me and my father, so he surrendered." Looking at her panicked appearance, Marshall sighed in his heart. He didn't know what kind of bewitching potion this brat gave this woman to make her so loyal. Fang Shishir was like this, and so was Lu Qingmei. If you want to save him, go and do it yourself. I don't have that kind of free time. Marshall crossed his arms and refused. Lu Qingmei was stunned for a moment, then said, "How can you not save him?" Marshall remained indifferent, thinking that when he was really going to die, I would naturally save him. Lu Qingmei hatefully stomped her feet and said, "If you don't save him, I will save him myself. Even if I have to sacrifice my life, I will not hesitate." Finished speaking, she turned around and left. Police station. Tang Zheng was shackled and locked in the interrogation room. Commissioner Hong sat opposite him and personally interrogated him. This was what Tian Shuji had told him. He did not want to leave it to others. This credit was his. Moreover, he was scared by Tang Zheng yesterday. Today, he could flaunt his strength and get back at him. Seeing Tang Zheng's eyes open, as if he was about to fall asleep, Commissioner Hong suddenly slammed the table and angrily shouted, "Tang Zheng, you better have a proper attitude. This is the police station, not your home. If you don't behave, I will take care of you." Tang Zheng opened his eyes and looked at the other party in ridicule and said, "Only if you don't have confidence would you shout so fiercely. Yesterday when I saw you, why didn't you dare to shout?" Commissioner Hong's face turned red. Yesterday's humiliation was brought up in front of everyone. He was unable to restrain his anger and said, "Yesterday you killed people in front of everyone. Last night you sneaked into Tian Shuji's house and committed murder. Tell me honestly, who ordered you?" Commissioner Hong understood Tian Shuji's intentions. This matter must be related to Governor Liu, so he asked this question to guide Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows and said, "You think I was ordered by someone?" "Yes, obediently tell me the mastermind behind this." "What if I tell you that I didn't?" "No, you are just a student and you dare to do such a thing? Don't think that I am an idiot and will believe your nonsense." Commissioner Hong said righteously. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, "You are worse than an idiot. You." Commissioner Hong's face turned red. "Don't think that just because someone is protecting you, you can sit back and relax. The evidence is conclusive and you cannot escape." "It seems that you still don't understand me," Tang Zheng said in ridicule. If the other party went to Ordinary Balance to investigate him, then he would not be so arrogant. What happened in Ordinary Balance was controlled to a certain extent. The Ordinary Balance's citizens did not know the details and only a few local officials knew. Moreover, it was the Dragon Group and the National Security Bureau that issued the gag order. Therefore, even the Yusha officials did not know the details and did not know Tang Zheng's background and power. "I already know enough about you, so if you obediently tell me the truth and tell me the mastermind behind this, I can ask the judge to reduce your sentence by a few years." Commissioner Hong enticed. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.